Dr. Peter Goldman back in again. Thank you very much for coming back, man, and all your help that you've given us. Really appreciate it.
100% my pleasure. Very excited.
And now you get to meet Mr. Rob this time.
The famous. I heard about Rob from Bas Rutten. So
What's up, man?
He's like a celebrity to me. Right?
Behind the scenes celebrity.
Bas is the man. He's the best. What'd you do for him?
When I met Bas Rutten, I think it was 2004. And I remember I had at the time in 2004, I was very enthused to help anyone heal from anything. Not that I'm not anymore, but I was just super enthused at the time. And, you know, being a fighter myself and a fight fan, I was a fan of Bas Rutten, and I had read somewhere that he was an asthmatic. He was an asthmatic as a child. He had some skin issues, which actually, if you understand how the systems of the body work, that's not such a surprising combination. I'm not saying everyone with asthma has skin problems, and I'm not saying everyone with skin problems has asthma, but there are certain things, if you understand about the body, you could see why they would go together.
Why would they go together?
Well, from
in simple terms.
Simple terms, yeah, no problem. The eliminative system, you know, the lungs are an eliminative organ because of like the O2, CO2 exchange.
So it's getting rid of something, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
And the skin is, an organ of elimination, so to speak. So
like through your pores, etc.
Totally.
Right.
So there's a certain amount of natural elimination of toxins through the skin. And if there's a general malfunction of that system, more than one aspect of it can short circuit, so to speak, and that's why it wasn't such a surprising combo. So I actually wrote a email to his website, and I forgot how I phrased it, but probably like I'll fix Bas's lungs, just tell him to come see me. So what he did was he had an assistant named Tony, who you know, our buddy Tony. And Tony you could ask Tony the details.
Shout out to Tony, very good guy too.
You could ask Tony the details, but I think I'm getting these right. Tony was lined up. He was very young at the time. I think he was like 23. He was lined up for sinus surgery and abdomen surgery. There was I believe a gastroenterologist. He had such a bad digestive problem that they wanted to do surgery on his abdomen, some kind of digestive organ surgery. I don't remember the details. And he also had a sinus issue. I don't remember the details of the sinus issue, but they wanted to do sinus surgery. This surgery, he was going to 2 different surgeries, I would presume on 2 different days, one for his sinuses, one for his digestion. So I think what Bas said, or he said, or however they communicated, why don't you check this guy, Dr. Pete, out, see if it's legit, and if he can fix your digestion and your sinuses, then Bas would go for the lungs. So I met Tony, I fixed him up. He did not get digestive surgery, did not get sinus surgery. He told Bas, man, this guy is for real. Matter of fact, he referred his mom and his grandma and his aunt.
Bas did?
No, this is Tony.
Oh, Tony.
Even before.
Bas referred to the world.
No, I had Tony's whole extended family coming to me. I think it was his aunt, if I remember correctly, had a long-standing migraine headache problem. You know, she had been to chiropractors and acupuncturists and whoever, and no one was able to fix her migraine headache issue, and she came and we fixed her up. So anyway, so then finally I remember Bas came, and he was very nice. He was a little skeptical, but you know, I mean, even after all that, he was still slightly skeptical. And I told him I'm gonna balance his body so he won't need his inhaler anymore, and you can ask him when you talk to him again, but if I'm remembering correctly, from 2004 we succeeded, and we fixed his lungs up.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Cool.
He's the guy to fix. He's awesome. He's so funny, man. And definitely don't want to fuck with him either.
He's a frightening dude. And I told Rob earlier that one thing about Bas, you know, anyone you could say, oh, this guy's a nice guy, so, you know, because they're a persona. Not that I've asked Bas a lot of favors in my life, and nor do I think I'll ask him too many more favors. But as I mentioned to Rob, every single time I've asked Bas, you know, help me out with X, Y, Z, he always does it. So he's a true friend. Great guy.
Yeah, I think he's old school. I think he's just a real man. Yeah, is what I think. He's right.
Yeah, he was great. That's what I said.
Down to earth guy. You know, he's just a really fun, good guy.
Yeah, and anyone who, I'm sure, who watches your episode, but anyone who looks up Bas Rutten, I mean, the guy has some hilarious and destructive videos online.
Oh, he's funny too. Yeah, I mean, he's a character.
Yeah.
He's got the whole package, man. Yeah, I mean, he's got something big going on in Orlando this weekend.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
I think something's on pay-per-view, a bunch of martial arts stuff. Did you see what China's doing with cell phone towers?
What's the latest?
So they found that a bunch of cell phone towers, like out west, they're putting, it's Huawei. So there's a lot of the parts in the cell phone towers are from Huawei. So every time your phone hits that, not only is China assembling the phone or making the part and then the USA assembles it, the fucking towers also have their shit too. Look at this shit. Chinese-made equipment on U.S. cell towers could breach U.S. nuclear arsenal. Scroll down on that, Rob.
Yep.
Isn't that crazy?
Oh, it's frozen. There we go.
Yeah. You go down, read a little bit of that, Rob.
The Federal Bureau of Investigation has uncovered Chinese-made Hawaii equipment on cell towers in the U.S. military bases in Midwest, CNN reported. The Federal Probe Agency has said that the equipment was capable of capturing and disrupting highly restricted U.S. Defense Department communications, which includes those used by the U.S. Strategic Command, which oversees the nuke weapons. It is believed that the origin of this Hawaii equipment dates back to the Obama administration. It is unclear if the intelligence officials determined if any sensitive data was intercepted and sent back to Beijing from these Hawaii towers.
Now, does that concern you when you see that?
I look at it like this. There's so many effed up things happening in this world. Some I'm aware of, some I'm not aware of. Some of the things I'm aware of, I don't even know if I'm understanding accurately. So I just try to do the best I can, because if I got too upset about this stuff all day, it would be hard to function. But it doesn't look too promising.
Yeah, if you go down that rabbit hole too much, I mean, I've seen people go, they call it the, not the dark web. What's the one, Rob, called when the political thing, when they're in the dark, like the fucking
conspiracy theory?
Like the dark hole or whatever?
Yeah, the black abyss, I don't know.
And then on top of all that, then with the borders open, you have a curfew in California. You used to live in, we were talking.
Yeah, you used to live in California. Yeah.
And parts of California now has a curfew because the cartel's coming through the border, and they've actually instructed a curfew. The cartel. Let me see where it's at in California.
What's interesting about California, when I lived there, is the population is so sheep-like and easily hypnotized to what the government is saying. If you step slightly outside the line of what they're telling you to do and one of your neighbors sees you, they're all over you. It's a very distressing place to reside, in my opinion.
But being from there, and you're seeing this, cartel imposes curfew on border city, threatens to purge anyone caught after dark.
I'm not surprised.
And that is in
northern Baja California.
Where's that at?
Right.
Northern Baja. Well, Baja California is Mexico. That's like Tijuana.
So it's right there.
Yeah, that's like just below. That's below San Diego. I guess they call it Baja California, but it's actually Mexico.
Oh. But still.
Yeah. It says, be warned, as of Friday at 10 p.m. through Sunday at 3 a.m., we're going to create a mayhem so the effing government frees our people. We're the Jalisco New Generation cartel. We don't want to hurt good people, but it's best they don't go outside. We're going to attack anyone we see on the streets on these days.
And they got billions and billions and billions of dollars. How do you stop that?
Well, there's two things. One, I don't know. And two,
at least he's honest.
I like that, yeah.
I'm gonna have to defer to Rob for that. But two is there's an idea. I'm not saying I know it's true, but there's this idea that your thoughts and your inside you create the world around you. So I'll just try to create the best possible world around me.
What, do you just block all this shit out?
Blocking it out is too strong a term, but it's like if there's a building like this, and the sun is over here. The sun is on this side of the building. The dark is on this side of the building. I'm not denying there's a dark side of the building. It does exist, but I'll try to concentrate in the light side of the building.
Mm-hmm. So you're just trying to look at the
Rob like that.
I feel like that.
So you're looking at the positive and just kind of trying to not focus on the negative, because nothing really you can do about it anyway, I guess, right?
I think that's a good summary.
Yeah. Well, as a doctor, I have to ask this. With the drones that you've seen, do you think they're drones or UFOs? Or I should say military drones or UFOs? What do you think? Come on, you're.
Tommy's giving. He's like,
You
as a
got-
doctor, you should know about UFOs. Come
Well,
on.
no, you got some healing shit. So you know you might have some
Are they
intellectual
aliens?
touch with some shit.
This is what I think. Again, I don't know. Let's start with that. But whether they're drones or UFOs, I think it could be either. But I'll tell you what. Not too long ago, I was in Tennessee, and you know the whole chemtrail thing, right? And some people say, "Oh, it's not chemtrails; it's just commercial jets." I actually saw a plane flying straight up, like a rocket. It looked like it was going to the moon, straight up with a big chemtrail. So there's all kinds of odd stuff going on out there.
So what would that have been?
Well, if someone believes in the chemtrail idea, they might think they would say that the government is just trying to poison the population. But people who deny that say, no, it's just commercial jets. But this thing, I never seen a commercial jet fly straight up.
Like it was actually like an airplane,
a
Southwest commercial jet.
Well, that's what they would claim. They would claim, but it was like a little kind of like a fighter jet going straight up with this huge chemtrail. So, who knows what's going on out there?
What do you think? If you had to guess, what do you think? Do you think they're military drones? Do you think China's trying to send a message? Do you think they are something else? Reverse engineering? Do you think they're ours? And then we figured out how to reverse some shit, and we're just sending a message?
If I had to guess, it would be ours. I don't disbelieve UFOs. I don't think those are UFOs, most likely. But do I think there are UFOs and other life in this universe? Probably.
I was dead set that they were drones. Dead set. Because Rick Prado, didn't Basil say drones too?
I don't think.
Yeah, Basil did, CIA guy. But Andrew, he didn't think so, right?
He thought
One of them didn't.
UFO, I believe.
Yeah, I think Andrew, he is another CIA guy. He thought UFOs because, we had a jet fighter, a guy who could fly like jet planes. Now, all the CIA guys thought military drones, but we had a jet fighter who does like that crazy G-force. His face is sucked back. Remember that, Rob? I mean, it like kills your face.
Yeah.
You know? And when I was talking to him about it, he was like, there's just no way. There's no way that that's a drone. Because from a jet pilot's point of view, to the G-force is just impossible to deal with it. So
why do you think this? I've thought about this before. If there are UFOs, if there are aliens, I have no idea if there are or not. I believe there probably are. But if there are, and the U.S. government has some deal with them and some knowledge of them, why is the U.S. government so dead set on hiding it from the population? Like, why does it benefit them to keep it a secret if they do have some deal with aliens? I never quite got that.
I think, one, that people would freak out. And I don't think, me, you, Rob, we can handle it. But I think a lot of people would freak out because if they came out and they said, look, we know for a fact there's UFOs. We have aliens that crashed here or shot down. Like, some people say that Russia shot down a couple UFOs. If that's true, it would mess up a lot of religions because then you would kill a lot of stuff that's, in the Bible and everything else.
I remember reading a book by David Icke, who David Icke is a real conspiracy theorist type dude, but it seems to have some pretty legit stuff. I don't know for sure, of course, but I remember reading a book by David Icke in 1998, and he was saying that, and whether this is true or not, of course, I have no idea, but he was saying all world religions are started by interactions with aliens, like Jesus, Moses, Buddha, Muhammad, Krishna, all these people who started, Hinduism, Buddhism, Judaism, Christianity, Islam. Really what they do is they interacted with some alien. They had some kind of download of information and they kind of just told people, and a religion formed around it. Now, if it's true or not, I have no clue, but I have heard that.
I think they just did it. This episode is brought to you by Fiji. More than just water.
This is not just rock. It's ancient volcanic rock that filters tropical rain, giving it double the electrolytes and its signature soft, smooth taste. It's not just water. It's Fiji water.
Again, that's FijiWater.com/MSCS, $5 off and free shipping. This episode is sponsored by Let's Get Checked. Are you the man your father was? Recent studies have shown that men's testosterone levels are dropping substantially since the 1980s at about an average of 1% per year. Low testosterone can have all type of health effects. It can affect your muscle mass, memory, mood, sex drive, you name it. And yes, low testosterone is more common the older you get, but can affect men at any age. So let's talk about today's sponsor, Let's Get Checked. They're a worldwide leader in at-home testing kits, and their male hormone test lets you easily test your testosterone levels at home. You can order a testing kit that will be delivered to you in a discreet packaging with next-day delivery. Once your sample arrives in the laboratory, confidential results will be available to you in your secure online account within 2 to 5 days. These results are reviewed by a clinician, and a member of Let's Get Checked nursing team may call you to review your results. Let's Get Checked laboratories are CLIA approved and CAP accredited, which is the highest ranking levels of accreditation. So, if you want to test your hormone levels without having to leave your home, visit trylgc.com/MSCS. Special offer for MSCS media viewers. Use promo code MSCS at checkout and get 30% off your test. The link is in the description below at the top. A bunch of shrooms, DMT.
I've heard that too.
And I think that's also how we evolved so quick. Because, how else would you go? He's probably so sick of me saying this, but how else would you go fight a tiger? When the DMT is active in your brain, you would have the balls to go fight a tiger, right, to get food for your family, or a bear.
Right.
If that's not active, you're not. What are you going to do back then? Throw a rock at it?
Spear?
You better have the good fucking. But if you're on that DMT shit, the animal senses that you're not afraid.
Yeah.
And that's a game changer.
Yeah.
And I think that's how we evolved so quickly, is what I really think. Yeah, that's what they. What is your take on the war on drugs? Do you think they should all be legal? Do you think some should be? How do you feel about that?
The thing is this: there's so much corruption on the highest level of who's making these decisions, whether they should be legal or illegal. It's so distorted to begin with. We have to just start with that. That's number one. Number two, it's a subject I really give very little thought to. But since you're asking, I would have no issue if drugs were legal and people could make their own decisions on what they're going to do. Because, people can jump off a roof. Someone could just go to the roof and jump off. So it's not like by keeping, people have knives in their kitchen. They could stab themselves or stab someone else. So it's not like keeping some so-called dangerous substance away from people is going to make a damn difference, because there's dangerous substances and tools and things they can do all the time.
That's a good point.
So I have no problem if they're all legal. But again, whether they're legalized or illegal, the people making these decisions, there's so much insane corruption at those levels that these decisions are coming down in such a distorted way anyway that that's where it comes from. But if I was in charge, I'd say legalize it all.
I would too, because if you look at like Italy, right? Every kid in Italy has wine at 7, 8 years old. So then when you're 21, it's not a big deal. It's not like, the fruit from the tree that you've been waiting for forever. Or, 21 or 18, I'm going to sneak into a bar, or I'm going to go get hammered with my buddies. You've been drinking wine since you were 7. And when you look at the alcoholism levels in Italy, it's nothing compared to here. Low as could be.
I remember when I went to college in Boston when I was 17 or whatever I was. So, I was born and raised in Brooklyn. Then I went to college in Boston. I was an economics major. I didn't know I was going to be a chiropractor later.
Yeah, how about that, Rob?
That's cool.
Fucking goes for economics, ends up being a chiropractor, and then doing all this crazy healing.
So on that note, I remember when I got to the dorms, I think 95% of the kids, I guess call them kids, we were freshmen in college, they were all from suburbs, suburbs of New York, suburbs of Boston, suburbs of Chicago, suburbs of Dallas, wherever they were from. But I was a city kid. I was a street kid. I grew up in Brooklyn. I was exposed to all that stuff so young. So they got to college. They were like, let's go crazy. The first week of college, they were going insane because they never had that freedom. They were like these kind of wealthy suburban kids. And here I was, a Brooklyn kid. I was like, I did all this stuff already.
Yeah, been there, done that.
I was just like, well, where's the library? I'm going to study so I can do well in college. So.
But like when I think about it like that. You see how everybody reacted, but you had already done it, so it was like no big deal. But when you make it such a forbidden fruit, basically, it's like, right. I can't wait.
Totally.
And now you have all this fentanyl and everything else. So me personally, I think just fucking make it legal, tax the shit out of it, get us out of this, depression that we're in.
Mm-hmm.
And, at least then when you go to get it, it's what it is. Because I think you'd have a lot of problems at first, maybe, because you'd have a lot of issues. But I think overall, once it leveled out, it'd be so much better. You wouldn't have the amount of deaths, as long as they didn't make it so expensive that, you walk in there and you're like, no, I'll just go back to the street and take the risk of killing myself.
Right.
You know what I mean? But Colorado did the mushrooms.
Right.
they decriminalized them, and I was wondering how that would go. I wasn't sure at first, and they said it went down. Scroll down, Rob. They said they're they got psilocybin over there in Colorado. A city panel reported no issues regarding Denver's decriminalization of psilocybin mushrooms in 19. I mean, maybe there are now, suggesting the city to go toward embracing the psychedelic drug. It's 300, yeah. So it seems to be working out for them. I mean, they're doing one thing at a time. Portugal has it all. Have you ever been there?
I've been to Portugal, and you mentioned that last time actually. But results are results. That's how you never know. Like that's how you know if it's good. You see the results. Like you mentioned, the alcoholism in Italy is low. Well, you see the result of letting kids have wine early. So we'll see how it plays out.
I am curious though because Portugal is different than the U.S. Portugal, they have. I think they're more together and don't have such egos like we do here. So I don't know. How do you think it would, if they legalized everything? What do you think would happen?
I mean, you have a choice no matter what, right? You can find it either way if you wanted to. It might be a shit show for a little bit. Like everybody, like shit, yeah, it's legal. Let's go do it. It might be, a ton of people fucked up for a little bit. But other than that, I mean, yeah, they're gonna find it either way.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if something's legal or not. Like guns. If you take everybody's gun, they're gonna find ways to get.
Yeah, that's the dumbest thing ever. Taking the guns. Like people aren't gonna go out to the street and just get one.
3D print them or anything.
Yeah, we were talking about that the other day. It's just nuts.
Mm-hmm.
Now, again, you as a doctor, how do you like Big Pharma? Just curious.
Love them. I mean, look, no. Here's the thing. It's people get so hypnotized to a certain narrative. Like, let's take the most simplistic example. Let's not even take anything too deep. Let's just say someone has digestive problems. We'll say they get stomach aches after they have a meal, or heartburn, or acid reflux, something basic. And they go to a good healer. They come to me. They go to a good acupuncturist. They go to a good herbalist. Pretty soon they're not going to have digestive problems. They're not. Okay. But Big Pharma, through their medical doctors or pharmacists, etc., have these worthless, poisonous pills that they're going to put in their mouth. It's not going to fix any of the digestive problem. It's going to alleviate the symptoms. It's not going to fix anything.
Band-Aid.
And has a million side effects. So you would think any logical person, looking at that simplistic example that I just gave, would think Big Pharma is ridiculous. But guess what? 95% of the U.S. population is hypnotized to their commercials on TV, to the society that says their medical doctor knows better. Listen, I have nothing against medical doctors. As a matter of fact, I have medical doctors in my school. And when it comes to emergency medicine, thank God they're medical doctors. They take bullets out of people. They stitch people up. Someone has a burst appendix. Thank God there's medical doctors that work in emergency rooms. Really, thank God. But when it comes to like an internist or a
PCP
or whatever, you have these people with digestive problems, headaches, anxiety, women with period cramps. They can't do shit for that stuff. They're the same thing. They're giving poisonous drugs that don't fix that stuff. You come to me or someone like a good acupuncturist, herbalist, someone who does what I do, we'll take care of the digestion, we'll take care of the headaches, we'll take care of the anxiety, we'll take care of the gynecological problems with no side effects. And the results will be the results, which will be they're all better. So I'm not a big fan of Big Pharma, but it's not something, it's kind of like before, I don't give them much thought. They're the last thing on my mind.
I don't know how people don't hear the commercials because, the commercial's 4 minutes long and 3 of the 4 minutes are the side effects.
Of course.
Mm-hmm.
And then you'll go to the doctor and the doctor will be like, hey, this is a really good one. This is really good. And it's the commercial that you just heard last night with 10,000 side effects.
Yeah.
But they're getting those kickbacks. Do you think those should be illegal? I mean, they would do it anyway,
yeah,
I guess, under the table.
Yeah, and it doesn't even matter because the whole, it's like this. I heard a very wise teacher say this once. Someone asked him a question, and he said, and by the way, this guy had great answers, but he said, I won't even answer that because I'll just identify that as an invalid question. So it's the same kind of thing. It's like whether kickbacks are legal or illegal or happening or not happening, the whole mechanism is so ridiculous of giving someone these worthless drugs, which are mostly poisonous. Whether there's kickbacks or not is just a meaningless detail because the whole thing is garbage. And again, take something simple. You have a woman who has period cramps. Every month, She gets her period. The first day of her cycle, she's in bed. She can't get out of bed. She's in terrible. They give her whatever the hell they give her, painkiller, whatever they give her for that.
I'm telling you, whatever the kickback is of the month.
Good point. The gynecologist gives them whatever. It's all worthless. A, it doesn't fix what's up with that woman's, uterus, ovaries, cervix, whatever, number one. B, it just kills the pain. It probably doesn't even do that. And C, it has side effects. They come to me or some of the people I mentioned before, they're not going to have period cramps anymore. They had period cramps because their body was unbalanced. But if they got their body balanced properly, they won't have period cramps anymore. So the whole thing's a big joke, in my opinion.
Well, I think it's a whole domino scam because, like you said, with the side effects. So if whatever the drug is for the period cramps, you're going to have a side effect. Then you need another drug to combat that side effect.
The liver or whatever.
And then it goes on and on. Before you know it, you got one of those things right there that says like, Monday at 2, one of those pill things.
Right.
You know what I mean? Right. You're popping pill things.
Right.
Yeah.
I remember when I was going to my therapist, I was taking Klonopin, and he had a big problem with the insurance companies because, as you know, some generics are the same as brand name, but others aren't. Brand name Klonopin works much better for severe anxiety than the generic. Not saying that that's the best way to go about it, to do it, but speaking of it. So he would call in the brand name because as a doctor, he knows that works much better than the generic. Well, the insurance would give him hell left and right, blah, blah, blah. And finally, he just said, fuck it. Left, opened up another office, cash only. And then that way he can prescribe anything he wants because he wanted to help his patients like you. And he knew that some generics are okay, some aren't. And every single time for, 15, 20 years, he would call in the brand name. It would be a shit show, and that just goes to show you how they are.
When you said about wanting to help his patients, it's interesting. There's two components, in my opinion, to a good doctor, whether that doctor is a medical doctor, chiropractor, acupuncturist, naturopath, whatever or et cetera, et cetera. The two components are actually you give a shit about your patient. You actually care about them. You actually have a human being in front of you who's probably suffering physically, mentally, or spiritually, or all three, or whatever that means to anybody. And
but Pete, this guy actually, he walked away from his clinic. It was his own clinic, but he took that risk to move and say cash only so I could prescribe the correct medicine to my patients.
Right. So he's someone who cared about his patients, most likely. So that's the first thing, caring about your patient, and B, having the skill to know what you're doing to help them. If you have those two elements, you care about people and you actually know what to do to help them, you're most likely going to be a great doctor.
Well, I can tell you this. I went to probably 200 therapists and walked down on every one of them but him. I always say this.
Rob, did you know Tommy went to 200 therapists? This is the first episode.
We've talked about
This is not the first episode?
No, we've talked about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. No, I had anxiety so bad. But I would walk in and they'd be like, how are you, Tommy? See ya. But this guy walked in and he was like, what the fuck is going on with that gold chain? How are you going to do any business with that? Like, he could read me.
Yeah, good.
He knew if he said any, hey, how are you shit, I was out. And he went, what are you doing with that gold chain? And we didn't even talk about anxiety, any problems. It was all business for like a month.
What was the, I saw some interview with someone who had, some guy who was the mafia who had cooperated. I forgot who it was. And they asked him, I think it was Michael Francis. I forgot who it was. And they said
10,000 of them.
Right, they said
they're all on YouTube.
Although I guess officially he said he didn't cooperate, but whatever.
Sure.
Someone.
Sure,
okay. But they said, what do you think about The Sopranos when Tony went to that psychologist and he said, that's BS. He said if it was really like that, they'd both be dead.
Well, I guess they'd be afraid that they would tell the therapist too much, and then the therapist would go and quit.
Do you ever watch that movie with Robin Williams, Patch Adams, based on a real doctor? Like the guy, Robin Williams played a great role in it, but like they were going to medical school, and he was smart as shit, like just not book smart, just naturally smart. So there's this guy there whose dad was a doctor, and this one was a doctor, and this one was a doctor, and he was studying this book that's like this thick. This is in the movie. It's based off a true story. And Patch Adams, just naturally smart, never studied. And he just went and he aced all the tests. So this guy was jealous, and he thinks he's cheating and tried to set him up. And Patch Adams went into the children's hospital. Kids were sick. He put on like a nose of he was a clown and making the kids laugh. And he's like, and they didn't like it. The medical was like, you can't take this as a joke. And he's like, you got to treat the patient, the person. And it was just amazing because you're talking about that. And it was about treating the person, and they're a human being, like you said. Have some goddamn human dignity. Talk with them and feel their feelings.
Every patient who comes into me, I do my best, and I think I'm pretty successful. I realize I have a human being in front of me who's probably suffering, like I said, physically, mentally, spiritually, I don't know, maybe all three, maybe two of the three. And I'm going to do everything I have to do to help them heal in every way, shape, and form. And luckily, A, I do give a shit about my patients, and B, I do know how to help them heal. So I happen to have that formula.
Yep.
Yeah. But going back to the big pharma, the problem with them is even when they kill people, like the Oxycontin or the arthritis drug or whatever it is, like Pfizer with that arthritis drug. Well, the Oxycontin's the worst one. They were just saying give more and more and more and more. It's non-addictive. It's non-addictive. Give more and more and more. Then they get nailed. They go to court. You have expert testimony from every person in the planet, and they get fined $2 billion, and they keep moving on. Mm-hmm. So how do you ever? I mean, like right here's one. The largest healthcare fraud settlement in history, pharmaceutical giant Pfizer must pay $2.3 billion to resolve criminal and civil allegations that the company allegedly promoted uses of 4 of its drugs, including the painkiller Bextra, the and then Zyfox, an antibiotic, Lyrica. Any of these sound familiar to you?
I never heard of them, but I'll tell you what: when you have when you're in cahoots with like CNN and all this bullshit, they'll present it in the most innocuous way to make it seem harmless, and people 2 days later forget about it. Listen, the public has a very short memory. Yep. They have a very short memory. There's very few people who do stuff horrible enough for the public to remember it. Usually 6 months later, you can do whatever you want.
Well, look, this Bextra, I gave was for pain relief that after knee replacement surgery, like you were talking about earlier. They put it on the market. Basically, didn't tell anybody all of the risk, skin reaction, kill you, all kinds of shit.
Well, it's like I had a great teacher once.
And then Upjohn was involved too. They get fined $105 million. So Pfizer paid another $1 billion. You know what I mean? So they're paying $4 billion to basically kill people, and they walk away and they just do it again like they did with the vaccine.
Well, here's the thing: like you mentioned earlier, what can be done about this? I don't know, but anyone listening to this right now,
think about that. That would be a good thing for you to figure out.
Fair enough. Mm-hmm. Anyone listening to this in the meantime, till we figure it out?
I don't think anybody can figure it out. They're too strong.
But in the meantime, anyone can just think for themselves. Just think. Why would I put poison into myself and expect to get out health? Just read the label. It's poisonous.
Because my doctor told me that this is good.
Right. But that's a good thing to think. Does someone think putting poison into themselves will yield health?
Yes, they do.
It's like the people have the power, right? So if the people stop believing it or buying the shit, like anything, if you sell a hamburger and people boycott and don't buy the hamburger, guess what? You're going to go out of business. So if the mass public says, fuck you, fuck this, we're not going to believe it anymore, it takes a lot to overturn that, but...
Yeah, but you'd have to... The problem is you'd have to get everybody that believes everything that their PCP says. I know,
yeah, no,
you know what I mean? And you could sit there and tell somebody for, 37 years, look, this is not going to work. No, my doctor told me it's going to work. It's not going to work. I could give you 10 people, it doesn't work.
See, but I think that's going to change because I think that's the older generation. Like my mom, she's got pills A through Z. It's always like her heart rate's up. This is unbalanced with this. We have to pull you off this drug because it interacts bad with this drug. And she's a lab rat. I'm going to try this. Maybe this will work. Well, no, that didn't work with this. She's too hooked. She's too far at this point. She's stuck on it. But now the younger generation is more believing, more in, holistic, maybe if you want to call it that, whatever. And I think the generations coming up maybe will change. Maybe we'll change that.
Now, Pete, when they come out with a new drug, right? They're supposed to be, when they do their case studies, the third party that's overlooking it is not supposed to be associated with the company who made the drug. Who oversees that? The CDC or who? Who is allowing Pfizer, Bayer, Upjohn, Lilly?
Most likely, and again, I'm not familiar with the intricacies of that, but most likely, like all the things we mentioned before, the corruption is at such a high level. Mm-hmm. Whoever pays off who, and they're supposed to be objective, but they're not objective. It's like, look, CNN's. I'm not trying to pick on CNN, but CNN's supposed to be objective. They're not objective at all.
Yeah, but that was on Trump's watch. That vaccine was on Trump's watch.
Well, here's the thing: if you look at if you look at Donald Trump's interviews about vaccines before he was president, he was always anti-vaccines, or at least questioning vaccines. Then when he became president, he had pressure, to not be as anti-vaccine. And then later in his presidency, he had a lot of pressure not to be anti-vaccine, and he did what he had to do. I'm not thrilled about it, but he did what he had to do.
Yeah, that's the only thing I think I like him. The country was a hell of a lot better before. But with that, he allowed, I guess the people that he had in charge of, it would be the CDC, right? Or whoever's in charge of overlooking case studies wasn't, there was negligence there out the ass with the payoff.
The WHO, the World Health.
If I had to guess, he was probably in a room with whoever. He was always anti-vaccine. They're like, listen, man, you could be as anti whatever the hell you want, but we're doing these vaccines, so you're going to say what you have to say to push them through. And I think it went like that. I don't think he personally got convinced. I think he knows what's up. He's too smart for that.
And he's very independent. He doesn't, but I guess when you look at it at the beginning, nobody really knew anything, but still, somebody should have been looking over those case studies because Pfizer has a long, long history of this.
One thing you mentioned no one knew anything. You're correct. But one thing we all knew, we all have immune systems.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, put a mask on and wear a plastic suit so that your immune system can never build a defense against anything.
I would say this, my humble opinion on COVID is this, not an overall thing, but I think if someone got COVID, to me it's just a cold. It's meaningless. They should just do what they would do if they had a cold. But I think when someone goes to a hospital, they put those ventilators on them, they put them in these so-called sterile rooms, they pump them full of drugs. That's what kills people. That's what kills people. Going to the hospital kills someone.
Yeah.
Someone with COVID goes to the hospital, that kills them.
Proven.
Someone who has COVID, because they have, first of all, those tests are so unreliable, it's ridiculous. But even if
they came out with that publicly, that the test didn't work.
Let's say it was an accurate test. No mean shit. If someone has COVID, good. Do what you listen. I had this guy come to me. His name is David. He's a nice guy. Well, anyway, he had come to me about 8 years ago. I think it was 8 years ago. I forgot. He actually is an MMA fighter, but not in the UFC. He's like kind of like a C-level, like an organization you never heard of. But he was a pro MMA fighter,
like CBA in the basketball type shit.
Yeah.
I don't even know if they have CBA anymore,
but yeah, just a minor league, MMA fighter. But nice guy, and he got into a car accident, unfortunately, and he hurt his neck very badly, and the nerve to his eye got affected with the neck injury from the car accident, and he went blind in one eye.
Oh.
So here he was blind in one eye, and he couldn't really stand up straight. About 8 years ago, he hears about me from the MMA world. He lived 4 hours away from me at the time. He came, got one effing treatment. He got his sight back, and he could stand up straight, which he wasn't able to do. So me and this guy had a good rapport. He got his sight back from one session.
That's crazy.
But here's the point. So years later, he still lived 4 hours away. He'd come once in a while. He wasn't that close. I'd see him like 4 times a year for like a tune-up or whatever. About a year and a half ago, I don't remember exactly, he got COVID, whatever that means. He had all the symptoms that are listed. Let's just pause the story for a second. Just pause the story. Remember I talked about all the symptoms of COVID? Mm-hmm. When I was in chiropractic school, when we studied like the symptoms of like sinus problems, half the class got them. When we studied the symptoms of digestive problems, half the class got them. So the identification with that, there's a statistic that most medical doctors die of their specialty. Why? Because they've studied that part of the body and that system of the body and how it can break down so intimately. They've identified with it, and unfortunately, it manifests in their body. That's
really,
yeah. Well, that's how that goes. So back to the story. So he got a COVID test. He read about all the symptoms. He got all the symptoms because he identified with them so closely. But anyway, he called me up. I said, come up. He couldn't drive. He didn't feel well, obviously. His wife drove him 4 hours away. I already have a great rapport with him. He came in wearing a mask. So take your mask off. I wasn't wearing a mask. This is the height of COVID. He told me he has a COVID. So take your mask off. I have no mask. I said, come here. I fixed him up. The next day, he goes home. He posts on social media. I happen to be friends with him or whatever it was. He posts on social media. He had COVID. He went to see Dr. Pete, whatever. All the symptoms went away. He felt perfect. Now, I screenshotted it. I have the thing. But I called him. I said, David. I didn't call him. I texted him or however I messaged him. I said, take that down. the atmosphere we're in. The last thing we need,
you don't
take that
need
shit
that.
down. So we took it down, but I have it. So that's what I think about
If
COVID.
you did take that down, you might have a bolt in your head.
Yeah, exactly. Well, luckily, I know Tommy, so I'm okay.
Now, what about if you have a pre-existing condition and you get COVID? What do you just fight through it, or what do you think?
Well, it's like having
because I mean those fucking
it's
defibrillators
like having
kill your ass.
Right, of course they will. It's like having a pre-existing condition and getting a cold. It doesn't mean shit.
Yeah.
And by the way, speaking of Italy, if I'm not mistaken, it was Italy. They had all these people who were labeled as COVID death. They found out like 99% of them have died of something else. They just happened to have COVID. It's all BS. It's all garbage. If you look at a Lysol can, you ever look at the Lysol can?
Yeah.
Look at a Lysol can. You've had it in your closet for 10 years. It says on the side, fix it. Oh, there you go. It's on the thing. COVID-19 or whatever it says. Coronavirus.
I don't know if it's
Yeah, coronavirus.
Yeah,
It's
somewhere on
it's
there,
on
yeah.
there. Coronavirus. Yeah.
what the fuck?
Coronavirus. It's on there.
What is this going to do for the coronavirus?
Look on the front. Maybe it's on the front.
No, it's somewhere on there.
Yeah, I remember when at the height of Corona, this
You can find it.
Yeah, you could find it. You get it on eBay for like $40 a bottle or something.
One thing about this studio, this is the cleanest studio. Every time I come in, there's
Yeah.
cleaning products all over the place. Lysol, it's awesome.
Oh,
We
thank you.
take our COVID protocols very
Seriously.
seriously.
Yeah, we want to make sure everything's sanitized.
Yes.
And so on and so forth.
We even have. I was driving over here. There was a lady running over the bridge wearing a mask.
Running over the bridge
Sucking in her own CO2.
Wearing
It's great
a
for her.
mask.
right?
Wearing a mask. Yeah.
in
Swear.
95-degree
Swear.
humidity
Swear to God.
up a bridge
Swear.
in South Florida.
Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So you think if you have a pre-existing condition, you just treat it the same as if you didn't have a
Yeah,
pre-existing one?
because
From what you know?
if someone had a cold, if someone had a pre-existing condition, they happen to get a cold, they should take care of themselves. Same. I look at it no different at all.
Now back to the guy with the eye.
Mhm.
What did you do to correct the eye?
Well, what I did with him.
So he walks in, and what happens?
So he, first of all, you get, some people who lose sight in their eye, you can't see because when you look at them, they look fine.
Yeah.
But this guy, you could see his eye. It looked odd. His eye, it just looked.
Like off? Like was it over on the side?
It
or
was a
some
little
shit?
to the side, and also his eyelid was a little closed.
Like a droopy eye.
Yeah, I don't know if the exact terminology for what he had, but it just looked off. The eye, everything looked off. And I did a zone technique session, which takes 2 minutes, and I opened up the nerve flow to his eye with a proper brain signal, and he got the sight back in his eye. Now, it's kind of a funny story. I didn't mention this before. Like I said, he's 4 hours away. So he comes, he can see. Everyone in his little town, the town was called, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, Tulare. I don't know if it's pronounced Tulare or Tulare. It's like Tulare. It's in California.
Don't feel bad. I can't pronounce it.
Yeah. But anyway, so we'll
Just
call
glad your name's Dr. Peter Goldman.
exactly.
Very easy.
We'll call it Tulare. I think that's what it's called. But anyway, he lived there, so he goes home and tells everyone, "I want this guy. I got my sight back." I don't, They were coming up in droves. I ended up with over the next several years about 200 patients from there because they all got so inspired that they.
And is that based on you hitting the right nerve to then fire into part of the eyeball to reverse the issue?
Couple things. One is I don't know exactly because the body works in many ways we don't fully understand. But I do know this in the zone technique that I do. I'm able to see what's not balanced and balance it. And even chiropractically, because the zone technique, chiropractic is like kindergarten compared to the zone technique. But even chiropractic in general, which can be a beautiful thing if done right, if you do take pressure off nerves, it can reopen proper signals to different parts of the body, including the eye. So what I did with him was a zone technique adjustment. So we had that element too.
So you lay him down on a bed,
Lay him on the bed.
and then what do? You flip him. Is he on his stomach?
I start with him on their stomach. Takes about 2 minutes total. I had him on the stomach. I feel the back of the head. There's points on the back of the head on the superior nuchal line, which is just a line on the back of the head.
To make it simple, would that be like equivalent to like a pressure point?
Not exactly, because a pressure point is more, depends what that pressure point's being used for, but a pressure point or a trigger point or something like that, that would indicate maybe a tight muscle or ligament or tendon that you kind of work out. This has nothing to do with that. The points in the back of the head in specific places are actually connected to different parts of the brain. I didn't invent this, by the way, but I learned this a long time ago. And when you feel the back of the head, you can find out what's happening in the brain. And then when you find out what's happening in the brain, there's points in the spinal cord that relate to the brain. So let me just back up a little bit and say this. The body is like an electrical machine. It's like a car battery has a positive pole and a negative pole. The brain is the positive pole. The cord is the negative pole. And it's interesting because this guy named Dr. Thurman Fleet, who was kind of the forerunner of what I ultimately do and created my own version of, he wrote this in a book in 1931. He said, the body is an electrical machine. The brain is the positive pole. The cord is the negative pole. And then I think in 1985, a medical doctor named Robert Becker wrote a book called The Body Electric, where he kind of said these things, but he was a little behind Dr. Fleet. But anyway, so when the proper points of the negative pole or the spinal cord are stimulated, just gently, it resets the parts of the positive pole, which is the brain, which don't work. And then they send the right signal, and then people heal. Now, let me just pause here for a second. Who might be watching this that we do? Let's say there's a layperson. They're not a healer. They're just they're a layperson. They're someone who, they're an accountant or whatever they do for a living. And they think like, I never heard that. That sounds like BS or whatever. Or let's say there's a chiropractor who's not familiar with his own technique. And they go, I'm a chiropractor. I never heard of that. Sounds like BS. Or let's say there's a medical doctor who thinks, I think chiropractors are full of shit to begin with. That sounds even...
Or one of your old buddies.
Right, exactly. Good point. My attitude is one thing, results. I just say results. So the thing is, if people come to me who we'll just take something simple, and I brought it up before. Well, actually, I didn't bring it up before. I brought something up similar. But if a woman has endometriosis, which is a gynecological condition, what is the gynecologist going to do for that? They ain't going to do shit. What they're going to do is they're going to do a minor surgery on her, and they're going to, last I heard, they freeze the cells on the cervix. It doesn't work anyway, because 2 years later they get it again. Someone comes with endometriosis to me, they're not going to have it anymore, most likely. So again, anyone could be like, wait, brain centers, back of the head, results. And I mentioned this, one thing I like to mention, and I want to mention again. This is a great example. If after this, Rob, Tommy, and I went out to dinner, and I said, what's a good place? And Tommy goes, well, there's 2 restaurants across the street. And we looked at one. One has a line out the door. It's like around the corner. I mean, lucky Tommy knows the manager. We're going to cut the line. But there's a line around the corner. The other one is like crickets chirping. I mean, I know there's other factors. Maybe they advertise, they have good marketing, but most likely it's a pretty good restaurant. If there's a line around the corner and it's a full restaurant. The other one, there's not even a freaking soul in there. Mm-hmm. So there's something about that. So on that note, I want to say that I have had people fly to me from 30 different countries and cities around the world.
I was going to ask you how many.
I'm saying so.
Yeah,
so
they fly to them
right,
from
so people
other countries and everything.
People flying to me from Hawaii, Guam, Japan, New York, Chicago, various countries in Europe, Africa, etc. Flying to see me, people who were sick. They had been to chiropractors, medical doctors. They were sick. They flew to see me and healed. Then, not to mention, I kind of talked about this guy with the eye. Then I had 200 patients driving 4 hours each way to see me. That's 8 hours of driving for 2 minutes with me. So that's like that very busy restaurant. Now, listen, you might say, oh, maybe he has a very good I don't advertise. Now, my school, Zone School, of course I advertise because I'm trying to get the word out. But my practice, which I had for many years, I never advertised at all. It was all referral, and people flew from all over the world. So, I'll tell speaking of results and reality, I had this one guy come to me from Malaysia. Anyone know where Malaysia is? Any geography buffs here?
I know
geography buffs?
I know the name of the place, but
Is that close to China?
It's fairly close. It's close to like.
I have no idea where it is.
It's south of China, but
Okay.
anyway, so Malaysia. This guy comes and he has like a jiu-jitsu school there. He's like a Malaysian guy, very nice guy. His name is Albert Lim is his name, and he's in Malaysia, has a jiu-jitsu school, hurts his neck or his back, I forgot what it was. He goes to the chiropractor in Malaysia. They try to help him. They can't. The acupuncturist, whatever, goes to the medical doctor. They take an x-ray of his neck, MRI, his back. They say, look, man, I know you own a jiu-jitsu school, so like, I know you don't want to hear this, but you have to stop jiu-jitsu or you're going to get in a wheelchair. You're going to be a paralyzed person. So he flies to see me, fixed him up, He went back, he ran a school, won tournaments all over the world, fixed him up totally after the MD said he'd be in a wheelchair. Then he told all these other guys, I had like freaking 17 patients from Malaysia coming to me.
Yeah, you're like the doctor of Malaysia.
So I'm just saying, so look.
What do they talk over there?
What do they speak? I think it's a Malaysian language. I think it's it's called Malaysian, but they got great food.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. They keep inviting me to go. I never went. But the point is this. Results. Like when do you hear people flying in from all over the world? Like,
no, you're right.
What else can I say? So anyone who's like, oh, the brain center, the back of the head, I don't care what you heard of. Results are results. I could stand by the results forever.
Is it one of those things that I think some people sometimes think chiropractor, right, and you get hurt, say car accident, or, born scoliosis, have a bad back, lower back hurts, and it's kind of like you're there for life then, right? Like bring back, keep coming back. We come up with a plan. We're going to come back. You're going to get your back cracked every other Thursday, and it really never heals.
Well, I got a couple of things to say about that. So the first thing I want to say is you're right. Not me or my students, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But there are some chiropractors. It's just because remember I said you got to give a shit about your patient, and you got to know a lot of chiropractors don't give a shit about their patient. Not all. I'm sure there's plenty of chiropractors who are very nice people who really care about their patients, but plenty don't. They just look at their patients with dollar signs on their head. Yeah. How many visits can I get out of them? What insurance can they bill? Whatever. So yeah, there's plenty of chiropractors that are full of it and play these ridiculous games, but I'm interested in fixing people up and sending them on their way. Might take one visit, might take 10, might take 14, but I'm interested in getting them all better. And of course, they're welcome to come back whenever they want.
That's what I'm saying. It's not like if it takes one visit and that person's healed, you're happy with that. That's what you came to do, and that's the end of the day. Right?
Actually, the founder of chiropractic, his name was D.D. Palmer. D.D. Palmer. They went by their initials, like first and D.D. Palmer. He said in his book, D.D. Palmer said, this is the first chiropractor, said if it takes more than 5 adjustments to fix anyone of anything, you're doing it wrong.
Well, that sounds about right. So now, when you decide to go to school to be a chiropractor, there's people look at chiropractic like citizens, not doctors, like people out here. Either it's bullshit or it works. It's one of the two. Either it's all bullshit, it's fake, or wow, that was great, I need to go next week, right? So what in the hell would make you want to go into that field?
Well, here's the thing. Even though, let's just say that some chiropractors are bullshit, and let's say some do work, 99% of chiropractors, they're only working on neck and back pain, musculoskeletal, neck pain, back pain. I mentioned D.D. Palmer, the founder. When D.D. Palmer made chiropractic, he didn't even talk about neck and back pain. D.D. Palmer invented chiropractic to align spines, open up nerve flow from the aligned spine so that organs can heal. That's what chiropractic was invented for. It was invented for livers and gallbladders and reproductive organs and thyroids. That's what it was invented for.
And when you use chiropractic like that, does it work?
That's what I do.
Okay.
And 85% of my patients historically have come to me for non-musculoskeletal things. Now, I've mentioned some musculoskeletal things, BJ Penn's neck, whatever I said, some other stuff.
But would you consider that chiropractic, though? Because the founder of chiropractic said that's not chiropractic.
Well, the founder of chiropractic said that chiropractic is about healing the organs. He said it just happens to be good for neck and back pain, too. So imagine 1895 when he establishes it. He's like, no, chiropractic is for the organs. It just happens to be good for neck and back. And now in 2022, 99% of chiropractors, 99% of the people in their office are there for neck and back pain. So what happened? But not my office.
So would you say it's bullshit?
Which part?
Like if you go to a chiropractor for neck and back and they crack your back or give you a cortisone shot or whatever they do, I say it's bullshit.
Well, here's the thing. They wouldn't give you a cortisone shot because they would, most chiropractors would say, no, don't get a cortisone shot.
No, because then you won't come back for 2 months, maybe.
Right. Who does, right? So
dirty motherfuckers.
Right. Yeah. So
not all of them.
I'm not defending them. So with that said, if someone has neck or back pain and they go to a chiropractor and they get their back cracked, as you put it, could their back pain go away? Yeah, it could. Some chiropractors are good at fixing neck and back pain. The zone technique, which I do, is great for non-musculoskeletal, as I said, and it's the best for musculoskeletal too. Like the guy who came from Malaysia, he came for neck problem or back problem, whatever it was.
But is there?
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Is there any chiropractor that cracks a back once and it's fixed?
Me,
Other than you.
my students.
Okay, so no. Go ahead, Rob.
I was kind of going on the track.
And some I just want to say, even me and my students, sometimes it takes 20 times, but sometimes it takes one.
But the goal is to get it done and fixed, not band-aided for the next 10 years.
I just want to say one thing, if it's okay, Rob.
Yeah.
You know, just to show you about the difference. This is something that I've heard many times, and I feel like I'm mentioning this a lot recently, just at various people. I'm mentioning it to you now. A lot of times a new patient has come into me and said this is what they said. Hey, Dr. Pete, I just moved to where you are. I'm becoming your patient now. I used to go to a great chiropractor. And the only reason I'm coming to you now is because I moved. They used to live in Ohio, wherever they're from. Oh, I love my chiropractor. It's great. I used to go once a week for 2 years. It was great. And what this guy did was he managed my back problem. They tell me they say they had a back problem and
manage.
And
manage.
And exactly. And they love him because he would adjust them once a week and they're better off than they would have been and blah, blah, blah. So they're very happy with him. But hey, I moved to you. I tell them, so they say, I've moved here. I want you to now manage my back problem. I'll come to you once a week. I go, I don't manage anything. I fix stuff.
That's what I was going to say.
So you went for 2 years to this guy once a week, and I said in 6 weeks your back will be perfect forever. So anyway. Rob.
Yeah, no, where I was going with that was, I was born with scoliosis and didn't have it fixed at a young age, and my posture, as you can see how I'm sitting now, kind of lean back. Posture is never the best, so lower back pain. Got hit when I played football in the lower back, messed it up. Then I started reading more into like gut health and strengthening your core, right? Because core strength can help a lot of stuff. My core's I don't have a six-pack ab Tommy over there, but trying to strengthen that core, it's made my back much better. I do go to a chiropractor, and I wonder sometimes that I'm just throwing my money like this.
Here's the thing:
to the air.
Results are results. Results are results. So let's just say you had a formula, and your formula was, let's just say, you have a personal trainer who strengthens your core. Let's just say,
okay,
you go to the chiropractor, whatever, and you're like, man, I feel good. Like, I would say that's good. I mean, the formula is good. But if you're doing whatever formula you're doing and you don't feel great, not you, but if someone, then it's not a good formula. But here's the thing: as much as I love chiropractic, because I'm a chiropractor, let's take acupuncture. Again, I don't want to gear this to acupuncture, but just as an example, we could have taken something else, but we'll just take acupuncture. There are people with scoliosis, low back pain, football injuries, weak core, if they think they have that go to an acupuncturist. The acupuncturist does their thing with their needles and they get all better. So does one need to strengthen their core with a physical trainer and get adjustments from a chiropractor? No, because there's acupuncturists that can solve all that too. Or maybe they do that. They work out and go to a chiropractor. There's many paths. Like, not that I'm a religious guy and not that I'm an expert on religion, but like it says, like Jesus said, according to your faith, be it unto you. If you believe in chiropractic and good, then do that. You believe in acupuncture. American Indians, I'm not an expert on American Indian herbs, but there's some saying that American Indians have that God put on this earth every herb you could need to fix anything. Back pain, thyroid problem, stomach problem. So if you're an American Indian herbalist, you'll know the right herb to fix anything. It could be that path to fix your back.
How much do you think, though, that gut health in general affects?
I think it's a total fad, meaning I have nothing against gut health. If someone has a gut problem, come to me. I'll bounce their digestion. They'll be fine. Yeah. But gut health is not any more important than circulatory health or glandular health or nervous system health. It's just something that's a fad now. Everyone's talking about the gut. Yeah. It is an aspect of the body. But that would be like saying, like in this town that we're in, there's the water department, there's the electric department, there's the police department, there's the sanitation department. You need them all to work. What if there was no sanitation department? Big garbage all over the freaking place. What if there was no police department? Who knows what would happen? What if there was no electricity working? Everything, whatever.
Just go to New York and you'll figure out what happens.
Exactly. So I'm just saying, but let's say we're like, everyone's just like, sanitation department, sanitation. That's like the gut. Yeah, the gut's important, but don't get too excited about it. So is circulation. So is the nerves. So is the glands.
So the whole gut thing's just a bunch of shit.
It's part of.
I would just say concentrating on the gut itself is a bunch of shit. But is it one of the many important components? Yes, it is.
How many times have you been to that chiropractor?
I've been going for probably a year and a half straight.
Are you all better?
But you're still fucking going.
Still get
Okay,
lower back.
Fire
pain.
him. Fire him immediately.
Still get lower back pain. The problem is I get, like right now, my, again, my posture is one thing, but my shoulders, right, they're tight, and my lower back, man.
What if I gave after? We'll do it off the air. What if I gave
Do it
Rob?
on air,
What if I gave Rob one session, and then I fixed him 100%? He's been going for whatever year and a half.
Yeah.
What if I give him one session and his shoulder, back, everything is fixed forever? 1 2-minute session.
You want a session?
Yeah, I'll take a
So
session.
we'll throw that. Yeah, at some point today we'll.
We should do it on camera. I don't know how can we do it on camera?
Well, usually I have a table, but I'll do it on the floor on camera later. Like
we'll do it
like towards the
We'll
end.
do it
I will
toward
do
the
it
end.
as we're
toward-
wrapping up. Yeah.
Very cool, very cool.
And then
maybe you save some fucking money, Rob.
Hey,
What's he hitting you for every time you go there? What's he hitting you for, Rob?
It's 100.
Here's the deal. So you had mentioned that your back was bothering you, and as I've said before, there have been people who have had 200 chiropractic adjustments have just been chugging along, 30% better, and they get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 from me, and they're 100%. So our goal, we don't have the luxury of being, near each other often. So the idea is for me to give you this one session that will either wrap this up completely or at least put you like 90-something%, where anyone who's decent can bring it to 100. And plus, when I'm around here next time, we can do another one if we have to.
Yeah.
But we want this one to be one that either wraps us up permanently or close to it. Is that cool? Okay. Now, we've already had this show. I've already explained what I do, so I don't have to go through that again. In a moment, we don't have a chiropractic table here, but we'll use the floor. I'm going to feel some points in your head. I'm going to see what part of your brain needs to heal. I'm going to stimulate your spinal cord gently. It's going to feel good. And then after I stimulate your spinal cord, the healing will be occurring because your brain will be sending out the right signals. Now, question for kind of a before and after. Are you in pain now? Does your low back hurt?
Yeah, my lower back, right.
Okay, so this area,
lower back.
okay, where my hand is,
and sometimes mid back is just stiff.
okay, but right now
Correct.
as you stand
Yeah,
like this,
that way.
okay,
Yep.
so if we can turn around so the camera can see it,
Yep.
I'm putting my hand where he said it hurt. He said this was the area.
Yep.
So after I do what I do, we'll have you stand back up right here, and you'll tell me how much better it feels. Now, if you get up and you're like, man, I don't feel anything, that's pretty good. That means we have 100% improvement immediately. Or if you get up and you're like, man, if not 100%, but infinitely better than it was, we'll take that too, because with the brain sending the right signals, that's a start. And then as the night wears on, as the day goes on, with more signals that are proper, that can heal permanently. Make sense to you?
Got you.
Okay, that's all. Everything I'm saying is logical.
Yeah,
okay,
I get it.
Let's do it.
All right.
Okay.
All right. So I'm gonna lay down on the ground.
You're gonna go face down. Sorry about the rug, but we just have to adapt.
Tommy, you swept it.
We have to adapt. What can we do?
so I'm laying
All right.
face down?
Yeah, you're first. I'm gonna feel your head. I'm gonna
And
tell
Tom,
you.
you can see us on camera
Yes,
right now?
I can.
Okay, so I already. By the way, how is I know we're talking about your back. That's what we're doing. But just out of curiosity, how is your digestion?
Not very good.
Right, because that's showing up strong. Okay, you feel pain here?
Yep.
Okay, that's your digestive system. So your digestive system is way off, but I can help you with that. So the main thing is to make your back feel great.
Yeah.
However, I'm going to fix your digestion in the process. You feel that right there?
That's it,
Okay,
yeah.
that's your digestion. Though. Put your head to either side now, just whatever's more comfortable. Put your arms by your side. And all I'm going to ask you to do is just move your whole body about 3 inches that way, just to give me room, so I have a place to put my own body, so I can do this properly. Okay. So now there are certain points in the spinal cord that relate to the part of your brain that I'm going to work on. So this may look similar to our chiropractic adjustment, because chiropractors kind of crack the back or the neck, but I'm doing it in very specific places to stimulate your spinal cord. So that felt fine, right? Okay, good. And that felt fine too, right? Okay, good here. Okay, good. Okay, what I want you to do is I want you to sit up in this chair. Come over here. I'm going to bring this chair right over here. You're going to sit right there. Probably go to that first camera. Good. Okay. I'm going to reset a bone in your neck. Is that cool? Super gently. Everything was super gentle so far, right? Okay, drop this a little bit. Now, looks like a general chiropractic adjustment, but I'm at a very specific point of your cord in your cervical area. Good. Okay. Now, in a moment, I'm going to have you lay down like you were. So I'm going to just stand up for a second. Just stand up. This area is already healing, but we're gonna. Let me just move the chair a little bit. I want to just get the chair. You're gonna go face down like you were at the beginning.
Okay.
Like you were at the very beginning. Now, remember that point that was quite tender on your head before?
Mm-hmm.
How is it?
Yeah, not the same.
You feel my finger pressing,
I
but
still feel pressing, yeah.
but you don't feel any pain there. Am I correct?
No.
Okay. In a moment when you stand up, I'm going to ask you for an update on this and this. Okay?
Okay.
Come on up, please. You can move around. You can stand up. You can twist. You can do what you want. What's going on with this now?
It's not as tight.
How much better does it feel?
I would say.
Like let me put it like this. Let's say 10 is it's totally healed, like it's 100% healed. Let's say 10 is it's 100% healed. Let's say 0 is when we started. It was
It's still 0 would still be the same.
zero is still the same, like nothing happened, and 10 is you're totally perfect. Where are we at?
Right now, I'm 100 would be saved. I'd say 90%.
What do you think of that, Tommy?
I'm dead serious.
So let me get some. So we just in 2 minutes got him 90%, and on healing autopilot. Your body's in healing mode, which means you can call Tommy tomorrow and be like, "Holy fuck, I don't know what the fuck that guy did." It's literally 100%.
The weirdest part about it, and this is again, he knows nothing about me, and people will watch this. I mean, you know, the digestive thing is weird that you knew that, because not to be gross.
Told me that.
Not to be gross, man. My stomach sometimes. I mean, it's just.
I know, but those. Guess what? When you tell Tommy how much better your back feels, you'll tell him how much better your digestion is, because I just reset the part of your brain that controls your digestive organs.
And that will be. It should stay.
Totally.
Wow.
So when you're sitting helping Tommy with the show,
uh-huh.
and you're like, "Man, my back feels great, my digestion's great,"
Then I can mention it to
This is
everybody.
what happened. This is how it happened. All right, bye.
Hold on, what is it? Hold on, it's $100 every month. I go twice a month.
$200 a month.
$100 a month, right? So
$100 a month.
$50 an adjustment. Pretty
Yeah,
cheap.
Correct.
But I'll tell you this. What if on a later episode, later episodes, like whoever's sitting here, and Rob's like, "Remember when Pete was here? My back is freaking fixed. That one effing session, I'm all better." So, like, at least there's some follow up, because
Correct.
Tommy's show is only getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Rob will be here. Tommy will be here. Someone will be sitting here. I don't know who.
Correct.
And he'll like, "Hey," Rob will say, "I don't want to interrupt. I know this is a great interview, but I just want to say I feel perfect. Remember when Pete was here?"
Yeah.
So,
I like that.
And what's so amazing is you've been able to accomplish all of this, and I looked into it hard after the first time, and I believe it. I believe it 100%. I mean, I dug and dug and dug, and I believe it 100%, 100%. But you were very slow in school, from like kindergarten to 5th grade. you
right.
said,
So
right?
I when I was a kid, I guess from kindergarten to 4th grade, really, I was the lowest in math, lowest in reading. I thought something was wrong with me. I mean, I remember when one time my cousins came over. We're all kind of the same age, my cousins and me, and actually we were in the Poconos.
There you go.
I remember going
where
up
Rob
there.
is from. 'Cause
Yeah, me too. I'm up there too.
My parents had a house in the Poconos, and my aunt and uncle came, my cousins, and they all wanted to play Scrabble, Scrabble with the spelling and stuff. And I remember my cousins were real smart. My sister was younger then, so she was too young to play. She's just doing something else. And the adult, and I remember I said, I'm going to go skateboard. I want to go outside, because I was embarrassed. I was embarrassed to have to be around kids my age who could spell and do stuff like that. Then when I was a kid in school in Brooklyn, we had a thing called SRAs. I don't know what it stood for. SRAs, that's what they had. And it was like reading and math or whatever. And it was by color. So we'd all sit at our little tables. We're 7, 8 years old. And they'd say, everyone go up. It's SRA time. And you go up, and they have by color. Like purple was for like me, the kids who were like fucking could barely do anything. And, as you go up, it was like green, and the real smart kids were doing red or whatever
green,
it was.
you couldn't even see green, right?
Right. I bring my purple thing, and
Green was 17 miles away.
right. So I would sit there and just struggle through math and reading, anything academic, anything. I wasn't good at anything, so just name anything academic, I was the lowest. first grade, second grade, third grade, fourth grade. And I feel like something happened in fifth grade. I don't know what happened to me. Like something happened and I kind of felt like a little better, you know.
Did you get in a fight or something and just knocked it out of you? Or what?
I don't know what happened. Something kind of happened. And then sixth grade, I got myself together. I wasn't the greatest, but I was like, you know. And then I actually went to Brandeis University, which is a fucking hard school to get into. And I was an economics major there, which is a hard major there. And I did great.
So what do you think it was?
I definitely don't know. I've thought about it over the years here and there because I went from like worst to first. I mean, I was like horrible.
Do you think it was like some type of subconscious anxiety that was holding you back?
I didn't feel nervous, but I don't know what it was, but you know, it's like back then, you know, they have all these labels now like hyperactivity and ADHD. Like they didn't have those levels. They didn't have those labels then. Or some of them they had. I'm sure they would have tried to put me on Ritalin or whatever. I mean, my mom wouldn't have let them, but you know, they didn't have those things back then. But then I kind of got myself together. But it's funny how the subconscious works. It's very funny how subconscious works. So here I am at Brandeis. It's a freaking hard school. And you know, on my SATs, I got like a 1030. Now, everyone else at Brandeis had like a 1550. They're a bunch of freaking geniuses. And I'm like, how am I going to stay here? I'm going to fail out of this school. I was never good at standardized tests. Now, why did I get into Brandeis? Because I had really good grades. I was the captain of the tennis team. I was good at basketball, whatever. I worked on Wall Street while I was a senior. I had all kinds of like cool.
Oh, you never told me about that.
I did.
What did you do on Wall Street?
I actually worked at LF Rothschild, which is where what's his face worked?
Madoff?
No. That you know, Wolf of Wall Street.
Jordan Belfort.
I worked there around the same time.
All right, you got to tell me about this Wall Street. You never told me this story.
Yeah, sure. So anyway, I had a really good, you know, I was good on interviews. When I went for my college interview, so I got into Brandeis somehow. I played tennis for them. I played 4 years of tennis for them.
Yeah, he was a beast at tennis.
Yeah. So when I went to Brandeis, I remember when I was a freshman, just go show these old concepts. I was like, I'm gonna fail out of here. These kids are all way smarter than me. I still had that feeling, even though I was 17, 18. I had that feeling when I was 7 and 8. But then I got for some reason economics came easy to me, which was a hard major there too. These kids were geniuses doing calculus. But somehow economics came easy. So I did good in my major and I worked hard. I studied my ass off and it worked out.
It sounds like some type of anxiety. But now back then when you had kids bouncing off the walls, what did they do? You know, there wasn't any ADHD or Ritalin. I mean, you know, when you can't get a kid to shut up and blah, 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 what did they do?
I wasn't disruptive. I just wasn't.
No, not you. I mean, just in general.
You know what it was? When I went to Catholic school, we had a nun. I was in kindergarten. I'll never forget it. I had my buddy would bounce around. You know what she did?
Slap him right in the floor.
She didn't slap him. No, she had a seat belt. And she seat belted him to the desk.
Well,
if she did that nowadays, she'd be on the front page of the newspaper and lawsuits and all that good stuff. Yeah. Seat belted him.
That's a whole other story.
Well, I'll tell you, it's interesting. So when as far as labels and stuff, when I was maybe 11, my mom took me to an orthodontist in Brooklyn. My teeth weren't that messed up, but I had to get like little braces or something. So my mom took me to an orthodontist in Brooklyn. So she'd pick me up from school and take me to the orthodontist. And for whatever reason, we always had an appointment at 3:15. And we'd sit there till 4 every effing time. So I walked up to the lady at the front. I said, hey, I was a kid. I was 10, 11, whatever I was. I said, you ever notice you always have my mom and me sitting in this waiting room at 3:15? And you always let us in at 4? Why don't you just give us an appointment at 4? So I said this to the lady. And whatever she said, some BS. Nothing changed. So kept, the next appointment, 3 months later, whatever. We're sitting there 45 minutes. I say, hey, is the doctor here? Why, you want, so they considered that not good behavior in the orthodontist office. So the orthodontist, never forget this, he brings my mom and me into, not where the chairs are, where they,
ready to go to work.
He brought me like into his office with his books behind him, his diplomas.
Yeah.
I'll never forget this. And he takes this book off his shelf to my mother, and it said, "Is your child hyperactive?" So it had that term. My mom told him to fuck off. So that was it. My mom my parents are both born and raised in Brooklyn too. She's tough. She told him to fuck off, and that was it. That happened.
Now tell me about Wall Street.
Oh yeah.
You thought you were going to get out of that one, huh? No, I was just messing with you.
I don't mind. Yeah, I'm happy. let's see here, Wall Street, right? So what happened with Wall Street was when I was growing up, my dad was a very successful businessman. He was not an investment banker, but he was a businessman. So I had this kind of business idea, and my uncles and stuff like that. But my cousins all were investment bankers. They all worked on Wall Street. Now, just so you know, when I grew up in Brooklyn, my view from my window, when I would look out my window, was Wall Street. Like, that's what I saw. Like, I grew up at the edge of Brooklyn. I grew up 1 block from the Brooklyn Bridge. So when I looked out my bedroom window, my entire life, that was Wall Street.
Cool.
You know, that was Wall Street, right there. So my cousins were all working on Wall Street. You know, as we got out, I was one of the younger cousins, so they were, you know, as we grew up, they were working on Wall Street. And I said, maybe I'll do this. I was an economics major in school. Maybe I'll do this. So when I was a senior in high school, I got an internship at LF Rothschild. It was called LF Rothschild, Unterberg and Taubin. That was the name. LF Rothschild, Unterberg and Taubin.
Did you have all that metal out of your mouth by then?
Yeah, that was
Because that's bad, man.
I didn't have too much. I had a very minor. They just put it like
prior though, you can't read, and then you got a bunch of wire in your mouth. Oh.
Girls always liked me. Despite all that, girls always liked me. But anyway, so I
you got some good metal in there.
Yeah. So anyway, I got a job working on Wall Street. So I made my schedule senior year of high school, where all my classes were done by 11:50 a.m.
In high school?
High school.
How the hell do you do that?
As a senior, they let me do it. I went from 8:30 to 11:50 Monday through Friday, and I would jump on the train, one subway stop, downtown Brooklyn, where I'm from, to Wall Street, one subway stop, and I'd work at LF Rothschild for free. I was an internship, but they loved me. They thought I was great. I mean, I worked hard. I wonder when Jordan Belfort worked there. He worked there in '87. So then I went to Brandeis, but in the summers, I'd work at LF Rothschild in the summers. So I always had internships, and I'm pretty sure I worked there the summer he was there, right before the market crashed in '87.
Do you remember seeing him or anything?
No, but remember the Matthew McConaughey character in the movie Wolf of Wall Street?
Yeah.
Remember he's like
sitting at him, and he's like, they're having a vodka, and he's like, order more.
Right.
And he's like, no, I don't want any.
Right.
Yeah.
And he's anyway. So Matthew McConaughey was playing an actual guy at that firm. I knew that guy.
Oh,
I remember him. Yeah, I remember him distinctly. He was really nice, actually.
Was he actually like the character in the movie?
No, they looked nothing alike. He looked kind of Arabic.
But what about personality-wise and the way he acted? Like, was he that type of? Like,
No. He was more like almost like to himself.
Okay,
You know,
so that was Scorsese just adding in there.
Not accurate.
Hell of a movie.
Yeah.
Love that movie.
So you never got This podcast is brought to you by Monster Energy. Tear into a can of the meanest energy drink on the planet, Monster Energy. It's the ideal combo of the right ingredients in the right proportion to deliver a big bad buzz that only Monster can. Monster packs a powerful punch, has a smooth, easy drinking flavor. Athletes, musicians, co-eds, road warriors, metalheads, geeks, hipsters, and bikers dig it. You will too. Monster Energy is more than just the green OG. Monster has Monster Ultra, Juice Monster, Monster Hydro, Rehab Monster, Dragon Tea, Monster Max, Muscle Monster, and many more. Buy on Amazon, buy on Walmart, or go to monsterenergy.com and believe me, you'll find a place. Unleash the beast. Monster Energy. This episode is sponsored by Aurora. Do you know what the fastest growing crime in America is? For years, this crime rate has been surging and affecting millions of Americans. I'm talking about identity theft, and there's a new victim every 14 seconds. Yet despite this, those who have had their identity stolen are often shocked when it happens. That's why I'm excited to partner with Aurora, who is sponsoring this video. Aurora is identity theft protection, fraud monitoring, a VPN, password management, and antivirus software all into one easy-to-use app. Their VPN allows you to stay anonymous online by keeping your browsing history and personal information safe and encrypted. Protect you and your family from America's fastest growing crime. Try Aurora for free for 2 weeks and see if you or anyone in your family's personal information has been compromised. Start your free trial today. Go to aurora.com/MSCS. The link is in the description below. You don't know if you saw him or not. You just know that guy.
I would have to think we walked by each other. I mean, I was there.
Yeah.
Then.
And how long were you there for?
Well, high school, senior year of high school as an internship, and then summer between freshman and sophomore year of college, summer between sophomore junior year of college, and then the market crashed in October '87, and then I said, "No, I'm not going to be an investment banker." So I did other stuff.
That's funny because that's how the movie starts pretty much. He
Right.
finally gets into the big Wall Street, and the
Right.
day he walks in, the fucking market crashes and everything, right? Crazy.
Yeah.
Wow, and that really all did happen, just like that.
Just like that.
Unbelievable.
I
Unbelievable.
left Rothschild. I was there. It was at 55 Water Street. That's the building we were. Jordan was in. I was in 55 Water Street, and if you know Lower Manhattan, Water and Wall, like Wall Street, they're like two. They're right there. So we were on officially Water Street, but it was a Wall Street firm. Wall Street was right there.
Wow. I'm gonna have you debunk a bunch of chiropractic myths. Can
I'm
you pull
ready.
that up?
Yep.
Okay, cool. This is.
And in the meantime, which movie did you like better, Wolf of Wall Street or the original Wall Street?
Wolf of Wall Street for sure.
For sure. Yeah.
I thought Wall Street was a good movie, but Wolf of Wall Street was a freaking
Just a
masterpiece.
monster.
It's like what's better, Goodfellas or Casino? It's a tough pick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the crazy thing with the Wolf of Wall Street, that pretty much all of that's real.
Totally.
Like the boat, the fucking car
Yeah,
with the land.
yeah.
I mean, that's all real.
What do you think? Casino or Goodfellas?
That is a tough one. Probably Goodfellas.
Yeah, I was gonna say Goodfellas.
I like Casino, but I don't know. I would say Goodfellas.
I'm the same way. I think they're both masterpieces.
Yeah.
I give Goodfellas the edge. I've thought about it.
My all-time favorite though is Donnie Brasco. That's my favorite.
Yeah.
Donnie Brasco and Bronx Tale, and not because I like Lilo, but
There's actually
Shout out Lilo.
There's actually a great scene in Casino, which kind of wraps into this Wall Street part. Remember when Pesci's character had made some investment with some guy, and he's like, I want my money back. And the guy's like, well, it doesn't really work that way.
Yes.
He's like, well, I'm going to split your head open.
Yeah.
So you either pay me or I'll split your head open. That's actually how it works. So
the funniest thing was about it, De Niro, who I don't like.
you don't like him as a person? Or
I don't like
actor?
him as a person.
Got it.
Actor, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
Person, no, I do not like him. But as an actor, yeah. But the funniest thing was, don't buy anything. Don't buy anything. He goes to the fucking club. The girl's got fur coat on for $1 gazillion. You just killed 20 sheep or whatever. You know what I mean? All right, let's go through these. Okay, so the first myth, which you already kind of hit, was after your first visit, you're stuck going for life. What would you say to that?
Couple things. So we have to talk about me and my students. We have to talk about most chiropractors.
Well, let's just stick with the chiropractic.
Okay, in
Not,
general.
not your stuff, just chiropractic in general.
I think 80% of chiropractors, that's sadly true, but it's probably 20%. I'm not even talking about my crew. There's probably 20% that don't play that game.
And then the other percent do. And if you're going 80%, that 80% is bullshit, right? Because you shouldn't be going for life.
They may not be full. They may not be full bullshit, but if like Rob is going for 1.5 years and still is in pain, there's a problem there. Especially because I'm going to fix him in front of everybody.
So then that would be bullshit.
I'd say so.
Okay. So then the next one, chiropractors are not real doctors.
Our chiropractor's real doctor.
Are, yeah.
Yeah. Well, the thing is this.
Why am I reading?
Oh,
this?
yeah.
What? It's like this. DC stands for, like I'm Dr. Pete, DC. DC stands for Doctor of Chiropractic, so we're doctors. MD stands for medical doctor. So yeah, we're doctors, but most people just use the word MD and doctor synonymously. But
The one that kills me is the dentist one. The dentist one has like
DDS?
DDS, DDA, DDP, DDC.
Are they all the same? Are they all, like? I guess that's the thing. Are they, when I say the same, of course they're different.
I know with
medical-
dentists, one can do like implants, and then
But are
the other
they-
one can't do anything like
But are the-
surgical.
Are the years of schooling the same?
for a chiropractor and an MD,
Yeah.
chiropractor school is 3.5 years straight, no summers off. So I went to chiropractic school for 3.5 years straight, no summers off. I think MD school is longer, but I don't know. I don't know how long medical school is.
I think so that's about 5 years, right? Give
Yeah,
or take, because
yeah.
no summer. I
Yeah.
think MD when I had asked,
It's 6 or 8 or
I
something.
think it's 8,
Yeah,
and then you have to do your residency.
Right.
But is some of
another
that
10.
bullshit though? When you say 6 to 8 years, is some of it just bullshit, just for more money, just for schooling? Like, you know what I mean? Like, seriously, like, can you get it done in, in 4 years if you didn't have to do.
I'm very
bullshit.
unfamiliar with the whole MD
Okay,
everything.
okay.
Well, if we throw it back to the chiropractic, right? So basically, you went to school for 5 years.
Yeah.
Did you really need all 5 years
No,
of that?
I needed 2 weeks.
You needed 2 weeks. Forget the healing thing. Just
Yeah.
pretend for right now, you're a chiropractor, you have your own office, but you do things right. Do you need that 5 years to be a chiropractor?
Not a chance.
Yeah,
No,
money.
just money.
Teach you a bunch of they teach you a bunch of nonsense that you'll never use.
That's why I don't think college is the way to go anymore, unless you're going to be an MD, or an accountant or a lawyer.
Right?
Other than that, I don't. I think a tech school or something like that is much better because it's focused on that one thing that you're going to do.
Yeah.
When you go, I don't know what they do in chiropractic school. I just know some things about medical. When you go to medical school, I mean, in medical school, you still have history,
Right.
which is fine in high school and whatever else. But when are you going to use like what happened with Christopher Columbus when you're doing surgery? Are you going to?
He was Italian. So
Yeah, so
I mean,
got a little pride.
but still, I don't want to hear about him if I'm going to be a doctor.
Right.
What am I going to do? Open up somebody and think, oh yeah, he came over on a boat, and I don't even think it was him.
Right.
They think it was the other guy.
Right.
They don't even think he was.
Was it Vasco da Gama?
Yeah, Vasco.
Vasco da Gama.
Yeah, that's what they think. They don't even think he fucking was the one. But nobody wants to change the books.
At least he was Italian either way.
Yeah.
Either way.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
there you go. So
we'll
that's
take it.
Yeah,
We'll take
take
it.
it.
We'll take it.
Vasco da Gama, Christopher Columbus.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Yeah, well,
Yeah. What's the next one, Rob?
so freeze this here.
Adjustments hurt.
I mean, that's only with an unskilled adjuster. My adjustments, as you'll see, and Rob will confirm, feel like butter. They feel amazing. But I guess someone could be kind of spastic adjuster and hurt someone for sure.
In your experience, are a lot of chiropractors that you've ran across in your career, do they go a little too far? Like percentages?
I'd say 70% of chiropractors are pretty smooth. It feels good. I think there's the 30% that are not that great with their hands, and it kind of hurts a little bit.
Chiropractic numbers are fucking horrible. We're just at 80-20, 70-30. I mean, you would think 8 or above. What's the next one, Rob? Let's see. All right. Chiropractic care is expensive.
Well, I was $115 per visit for 2 minutes, and I never took insurance. They paid me credit card. So 2 minutes, $115. So I don't know if that's expensive, but I guess it's priceless if someone is suffering with headaches every day and they've had them for 10 years and they've tried a lot of things and nothing worked. They came to me 5-6 times. Their head feels perfect forever. I think it's a pretty good investment.
At least your guy's in the price range, Rob.
Yeah.
He might keep you there for the next 20 years,
Yeah,
but he's
but-
in the price range. Go on to the next one. Chiropractic care is unsafe.
It's totally safe. I mean, but you see, this is the thing. Unless the chiropractor is so irresponsible and ridiculous, I guess it could be unsafe like anything else in the world.
Yeah.
But done right, it's totally safe. Totally. I've adjusted 2-day-olds.
Now, when you go get your back cracked all the time, that's okay. I can't imagine how that's.
Well, that was like the
Good.
what was it old what? And I don't know if it's a wives' tale. You correct me if I'm wrong. I remember they used to say. Let me get this other. I remember I used to say. My grandmother used to say, "Don't crack your fingers." Kids go like this. And
Right.
Crack your
Well,
fingers
the thing
'cause
with
it costs-
the crack, and you hear it, the crack is just synovial fluid between the joints escaping when you move the joint. So that's fine. I would agree jamming, like cracking your knuckles like this where you jam it, it's probably not a good idea. But if you're opening up the joint by pulling it out, it's totally fine from my
How'd you
perspective.
just crack your fingers?
I just pulled it.
You're fucking nuts. You're nuts, bro. Jeez, Doc.
With this.
Yeah. Again.
And
gonna
by the way, this looks like this is from All Star Chiropractic. So of course they're gonna have a good answer for everything.
Yeah.
It's probably written by Rob's chiropractor.
Probably.
Only adults. Well, we know that's false.
No, I take. You could be 1 day old. I'll take care of you.
Wow, that's interesting.
What's the benefit for like kids?
Well,
I
the thing
guess,
is
for
this:
babies, or what's the benefit?
the 2-part answer. Part 1 is if the kid has a problem, like the parents, the kid keeps getting ear infections, and the pediatrician just keeps giving the kid penicillin. It's horrible for the kid. It doesn't do anything, and every 3 months they get an ear infection. They come to a good chiropractor, they get a line, they get the proper they get the proper nerve flow to their ears, and their ears heal. They get no more ear infections. I've done it many, many times. So have many chiropractors. That's easy as can be.
That's so that blows my mind that chiropractic like the ears part of chiropractic.
Well, I know one thing. Like when I was a baby, I got ear infections all the time, and they were gonna put the tubes they call them in ears.
Yeah.
I never had to get to that point, but it was always penicillin, like you said. The
Of
drops
course.
and
Yeah, they
stuff.
come. If they had brought you to a chiropractor, you would have had no more
And
infection.
years ago it was more like taboo, right?
Yeah,
The chiropractors were more taboo. Like I know my son, my youngest son, he gets migraines a lot, like real bad migraines, and started taking him to the chiropractor too, and he hasn't gotten them as often.
Good.
He still gets them, but it's very, very.
Listen, I don't want to diss this guy.
I'll diss
He may
him.
be. He may
He's a
be
bum.
he
He's
may
a
be
bum.
He may be a nice guy.
Love
but,
it, Rob, but he's a bum.
But if someone brought their kid to me with migraines, they ain't gonna have them anymore.
Correct.
So I don't know what's going on.
He's a bum.
All right, good.
I was curious about what you would do with the kid too.
Well,
But
also,
you
I
have
just
to be real careful with that though, right?
The kid, it's very gentle, and I said there's two parts. One is if they have a problem, like ear infections, and two is someone says, "Hey, here's my kid. I think the kid's healthy. You want to just check him out?" And we just see what needs some alignment. We gently
Could
align
acid
them.
reflux help? Like when kids get that acid
Easy,
reflux, but
easy,
yeah.
easy category.
Really? And penicillin it doesn't do shit.
Just poisonous. Number one, it doesn't fix anything because they get the ear infection 2 months later,
Correct, yeah, I
like
did.
Rob could tell you, with himself when he was a kid. And two, at a side, it's not good for you. It causes all kinds of weird.
Yeah, I never liked it either.
Yeah.
When I studied it, I didn't like it either. I think amoxicillin or zithromax. You think zithromax is okay?
I think it's all bad.
It's all bad. I'm sure it is.
The best of the worst.
It's man-made.
Yeah.
Of course, it's bad.
Yeah.
Chiropractic care only treats back pain. Well, you corrected that.
Yeah, we already took care of that. Yeah.
The verdict.
Yeah.
The verdict by All-Star.
By All-Star
All-Star
Chiropractic.
Well, at least it was cool to go through a couple.
I had a good time.
Yeah. So you don't like any type of medicine at all. You think it's all just
Except
poison.
for, like I said, thank God for emergency room doctors. God forbid someone's appendix bursts. Thank God there's emergency room doctors. They'll save someone's life. God forbid someone crashes on their motorcycle. Thank God there's emergency room doctors. They'll sew them up and put them back together. Outside of that, I'm not too interested in anything an MD is going to do.
What do you think? What are, like, out of the 5 most common drugs prescribed, right? Like maybe antibiotics or painkillers. What are some of the worst ones that you know of?
Well, I'll answer it like this. I don't know what's the worst ones, but I know the unnecessary ones. Anything for period cramps, because someone who knows what I know will fix that. Anything for digestive problems like heartburn, acid reflux, stomach aches, that's unnecessary because we'll fix that too.
But I mean, if they don't go to you, what, or they don't know about you or whatever,
Or my students, right?
or your students, is that something that is poison? Like is trash?
Well, I
as
mean,
well?
listen, I would say this though. Let's say someone has, I'll give you a great example. Let's say someone has headaches, just headaches.
Now take you out of it.
Of course, someone has headaches and they have a choice of taking the painkiller that's prescribed or Advil even, or they can go, forget me, they go to a good acupuncturist or maybe some other decent chiropractor, and after X amount, or herbalist, and after X amount of time, their headaches are gone. Well, then obviously that's a much better choice than taking the painkillers, which don't fix anything and have side effects. They just kill the pain. So I would just say this though, but let's say the person had no access to anything. They only have access to Advil. I guess you might as well take it, because who wants to walk around with their head killing them all day? I mean, I guess sometimes you got to do it.
How horrible do you think ibuprofen is, which is Advil?
I mean, horrible.
That hits the stomach, and Tylenol destroys your liver.
Horrible is a strong word, but yeah, I have no interest in it.
I know Tylenol's bad. I don't know why they tell kids to take Tylenol. It's so horrible for your liver.
Yeah.
It's like drinking a 12-pack.
I agree.
On an empty stomach.
Yeah.
Did you not?
No.
Yeah, right?
I don't know the exact stat, but
I mean, it might be a 24-pack.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I might be shooting low.
So what's best to take if you have something to take, if you want to take something?
Probably a good homeopathic remedy that you can get at Whole Foods or something. Now, a real homeopath, which is a type of healing, they'll specifically tell you what homeopathic dose, which is a very small dose of an herb or some other substance to take. But even if you don't have access to a good homeopath, you just go to Whole Foods. They probably have some thing you can grab over the counter and help yourself.
See, I don't think anybody will do that. They're either going to take Advil, Tylenol, or one of the other ones. Out of the 3, would you say ibuprofen? That's probably the best of the painkillers.
I don't even know which is the best. I really don't. I think aspirin's made of what's called white willow.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So white willow.
White willow bark.
Right, bark. So if you can probably get from a natural doctor, like white willow tablets. I mean, I'm not an expert in that stuff, but it's probably the more
Pete,
natural.
me and Robert saying if you walk into the fucking store and you got a headache,
I'll tell you what, the best thing
I would go for Advil.
the
Advil.
best one I ever took, but a guy, one of my buddies from years ago, shout out to George. You have a long day of drinking, and the next day got that bad hangover. It was literally, the stuff looked like cocaine. It came in a packet, and you opened it up and you put it in a drink and took it. Your headache was gone in like 10 minutes. Can't remember the name of the shit.
I don't know.
I'm
Can't
telling
remember
you.
the name of it.
I'm telling you, it was fucking amazing. You could buy it you could buy it at the store.
I'm sure.
Probably
just
not
a
good
bit-
for you, but
probably
whatever.
not.
Hey,
Probably
that headache
not.
went away in 10
If
minutes.
it worked it worked in 10 minutes, right? It can't be too good. Now you had said you had an idea chart, right?
Yes.
And what was that? It was like pulling the brain. Explain it maybe better, or
Yeah, no
however
problem.
in your words.
So I'll put it like this. There's this. Let me start with this. There is something called metaphysics. I'm going to explain what that is. Now, metaphysics means this. Now, we know physics, or the physical world, is the world we can perceive with our 5 outer senses. We can see it. We can touch it, we can taste it, etc. That's physics. So this is the physical world here. Meta, if I'm not mistaken, is a Latin prefix. It means above or beside or beyond.
I wonder why Zuckerberg picked that. I guess because he's beyond.
It's beyond, yeah.
So
Interesting.
yeah, so metaphysics just means the things that are beyond the physical world. So for example, I'll give you an example. It's very simple. Let's say their heart rate is normal. Their heart rate is normal at the moment. And they decide they want to do some wind sprints to get in shape. And they do some wind sprints, and of course their heart rate increases. Normal. And then after they rest a little bit, their heart rate comes back to normal. That is a physically caused increased heart rate. I mean, their heart rate increased because they did something physical. They ran. However, let's say someone's walking down what they would consider a dangerous street, and they see some people who look like they may attack them, and they're nervous, they're scared, so their heart starts beating quickly. And they feel their heart beating quickly. But then the people pass and nothing happens, and then they calm down and their heart beats normally. Well, when their heart was beating quickly, that was a metaphysically caused rapid heartbeat. It wasn't physical, it was metaphysical. It was beyond the physical. It was just the fear. Fear is something that's beyond physical.
You can't touch fear.
Right, exactly. You can't touch it, taste it. So that's a very simplistic thing of what's beyond the physical is metaphysical. There's all kinds of metaphysical teachings and ideas. Now, in the teachings of metaphysics, there is an idea of this, which I'll present, that there's really more than one world in existence at the same time, but we only can see the physical world. So this looks like the only world, like
You mean dimensions?
right dimension.
No, buddy.
Rob, were you going to say that? Were you going to say dimensions?
He
Okay.
goes into
I
this
believe
a
in
lot.
that. I believe in dimensions, 100%.
Okay.
Don't get me started on that, boy. We'll be here all fucking night.
So in other words, there's multiple dimensions. They're also called planes, 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 or worlds. So one of the worlds is called the corporeal world. Corporeal, corporeal, if I'm spelling it right. Corporeal. See, I'm a better speller than when I was in 4th grade. So the corporeal world is the physical world. It's the world of this world is the corporeal world. Now, there's also a world called the astral world, astral. And that is a world of thoughts, not a world of things. Remember, the corporeal world is the world of things. This is the world of things.
Physical.
Right. There's the astral world, which is the world of thoughts. Just thoughts. Oh, I'm thinking about this, thinking about that. And above that is what's called the etheric world, etheric, etheric world. And the etheric world is the world of ideas. Now, these are what's called the 3 worlds, or the 3 planes, you could call them dimensions in a way. So there's this idea that there's a saying, as above, so below. So everything that exists on this world, like this microphone and this table and my arm or whatever, it has an exact counterpart on the other worlds, the astral world, which is the thought world, and the etheric world, which is the idea world. So there are those who believe that if you want something on this world, it could be health in your body or more money in your bank account or whatever the hell you want, that thing already exists in the idea world. It's already there. It's like, for example, I'll give you an example. This is really cool. if I say to you right now, perfect digestion. We were talking about gut health before, perfect digestion. So now we're thinking about it. I'm like, hey, and you start thinking, Tommy and Rob and me, we start thinking, oh, perfect digestion. What does that mean? Oh, well, I guess you eat food, you digest it perfectly, you feel great, you get energy, right? That would be some aspects. So what happened was, it's in our thought world right now. But 10 minutes ago, we weren't talking about perfect digestion, but it still existed somewhere. Like just we were talking about this chiropractic survey 10 minutes ago.
Mm-hmm.
But so none of the three of us were thinking about perfect digestion. But it still existed somewhere. It was somewhere. It wasn't like we just created it for the universe. It always existed. So where it was existing was in the etheric world, the idea world, just like an unmanifested idea, just sitting up there, perfect digestion. But then I grabbed it. I'm like, hey, perfect digestion. What does that mean to you? What does that mean to you? So we took it from the idea world, we brought it to the thought world, and we're thinking about it. Now, this is interesting. Let's say I said, let's change the subject. Let's talk about water. Tommy's drinking that brand of water. And he goes, yeah, I think it's the best brand of water. And Rob says, no, I have this other brand I like. And he says, oh, I like distilled water. And you say, well, I like spring water better, whatever. I don't know what's better. Just using it as an example.
I was about to ask.
Right. I don't know. I have no idea what's better. But the thing is this. So we're like talking about like distilled water and spring water and what's the best brand, or even if that's good water, it's in plastic. Is the plastic like leaching into the water? I mean, I don't know if it is, but whatever.
We found out that you spit out a credit card a week of plastic.
Right. So the thing is this. So we are now talking about water. We've left the perfect digestive health thing. So it has now left the thought world. It's back up in the idea world. It's just sitting waiting for us the next time we want to grab it.
Yeah.
But now we're on the water subject, so the mind can't think of more than one thing
This
at once.
went to the subconscious.
Well, he is a step. He first said dimensions. He's a step ahead. So
Not as dumb as you think.
I didn't-
All right, look.
So remember, I said one of two things can happen when you're talking about thoughts. A, you can change the subject. That can go back up to the idea world. Or you can keep talking about them. Forget about the water. Let's talk about perfect digestive health. And the three of us, we're not going to do this, but we close our eyes and we're kind of meditating on perfect digestive health and picturing it in our bodies, whatever. If you concentrate on thoughts, don't let them go back to the ideas. When you concentrate on thoughts, they become concepts. And concepts in the subconscious mind manifest, guess where? On the corporeal plane.
And then they become conscious.
They become what you can touch, right?
Yeah, conscious.
Right.
Physical.
So again, you have ethereal ideas, astral thoughts, corporeal things, and you can grab ideas from etheria, bring them to the thought world, concentrate on them, not change the subject, but concentrate on them. And then when you concentrate on them, they become concepts in the subconscious, and concepts in the subconscious manifest in the corporeal plane. So that's a brief summary of that.
It makes sense.
Yeah,
Isn't that pretty cool?
Yeah, it does.
Really
I
cool.
like that.
Yeah. No, it's really cool.
It pisses some people off.
I don't know why, because
I like that.
it makes sense. It makes total sense when you think
Because
about
those
it.
thoughts are always there. It's just you're getting those ideas, those thoughts, and then someone's going to manifest maybe that thought or idea of something, and then manifest it into an invention maybe or something. It could be anything.
Right, because this table was someone's idea first. It was
Yeah.
up there.
Yeah.
And then listen, there was a time when no one ever ran the mile in under 4 minutes. No one ever did that. There was a point no one could run a mile in under 4 minutes. No one. Then all of a sudden one guy did it. And guess what? Like a week later, 500 people did it.
Everybody practiced their ass,
Yeah.
and they realized that it was possible.
Exactly. So
They pulled it down.
Right. So they could identify with that idea, and then it manifests in the corporeal. There you go. They didn't train any differently. It happened the next day.
I got a random question for you. So, and this is a story from years ago. I think it was my grandmother, someone on my mom's side, their uncle, someone. Again, I don't remember how the family relation was. They got diagnosed with cancer. Okay, and maybe this is totally off the subject. That I'm just thinking of like thoughts and ideas and stuff like that. Belief, maybe called belief, whatever you want to call it. So they were diagnosed with cancer. They showed them it on the thing. There's your there's a spot. There's the cancer. Right. It's not good. Probably not going to make it. It's whatever. So the person said, whoever it was, uncle, cousin, said, I don't have cancer. Like, yeah, it's right there. You can see it. It's right there. You have cancer. Nope, I don't believe I have cancer. I do not have cancer. Okay, they leave. Guy's telling himself the entire time, telling his wife, that's bullshit. I don't have cancer. I don't have cancer. I don't feel I don't have cancer. I don't have cancer. They go back for checkup in another month. They do the thing, and there's nothing there.
I'll tell you what happens in that kind of thing is that person did what's called autosuggestion, self-hypnosis, which was great. What they did is they took their conscious mind and they said that so many times, they impregnated their own subconscious mind with the concept of health, and that's what manifested on the corporeal plane as health in their body. I'll tell you something interesting. So many years ago, my dad was a very successful businessman. My dad's 93 now, but he's retired, obviously. But when my dad was a younger man, he was very successful, very great guy.
Did he think you were nuts when you got into the zone?
Nah, he always supported me. So he had, if you know Manhattan, or anyone knows, he on the Lower East Side of Manhattan, he had many, many stores. He was very successful. And it got to the point, my dad told me, like in the 1970s, 1980s, that the Lower East Side was such a great place to shop, and he was so successful in businesses he knew about. He said, you know what, Pete? He said he just started like opening businesses that he didn't even know about, but it didn't matter because it was just, he knew how to run businesses down there. So like, for example, like he never knew about like ladies' shoes or ladies' handbags, but he knew how to run businesses.
But he knew the basis.
Yeah. So he would open like ladies' shoe stores and amongst his main businesses, and he'd be kicking ass down there. The thing was, there was so much to do. He would partner up with like local street guys that he kind of knew from the neighborhood, and say, look, I'll tell you what, I'll fund it. I know how to run the store, but I know how to like do the business, but I need you in the store. Like you have to go buy the handbags. You have to educate yourself on women's shoes and whatever. So he had all these guys who were like real street guys, real street tough guys, but my dad was friends with them. So one of these guys that my dad was in business with.
Robbed the store?
No. His wife doesn't feel well. Similar story. My dad told me this. And they bring her to the hospital in Manhattan, and they do all the tests on her. And the guy, the tough guy who was my dad's partner, goes to the doctor later that day, goes, what's up with, wants to find out what's up with his wife. The doctor says, I don't think she'll be alive in 2 months. So the guy was like a tough guy. He didn't understand any of this stuff. He didn't understand anything we're talking about, but he just couldn't accept it. So he takes the doctor by the thing, throws him up against the wall. He goes, listen, motherfucker, you don't tell my wife shit or you're dead. I will kill you. So the guy's like, he goes back, he walks in the room with his wife. She's like, what's up? She goes, yeah, honey, I talked, everything's fine. Everything, I don't know, you maybe had a headache or whatever. You're fine. Let's go home. My dad told me, so she was alive 30 years later.
Wow.
How about that?
And then I did one on the subject, one other thing. So you heard story, we talked about that. And then you always hear, I mean, I've never had this experience or a family had this experience, but you hear about like, like a person has cancer and they have like their favorite dog, their dog. And the dog gets, have you ever heard stories like that where the dog gets the cancer and the person's healed? I've heard stories.
I've never heard that exactly, or if I did, I don't remember, but I'm not totally surprised because the dog can be in tune with them so much, but not really know how to protect themselves, that unfortunately it can manifest in the dog, but at least the person got better. But something's very interesting, which is, it's really good if I have a whiteboard to draw this, but I'll do my best to explain this. There's this idea that when you have, I'm going to hold my hands like this. So if this is the doctor and this is the patient has whatever they have. The doctor has a conscious mind. The doctor has a subconscious mind. We talked about the subconscious before a little bit. The patient has a conscious mind, and the patient has a subconscious mind. Now, in the patient's subconscious mind, if they have the idea of disease, it can manifest in the corporeal plane in their body as disease. But if the doctor is skilled enough to go into the patient's subconscious mind and create an idea of health in the patient's subconscious mind in the midst of their physical interaction, whether it's an acupuncture needle, chiropractic adjustment, herb in their mouth, even medicine, if they can create the idea of health in the patient's subconscious to make that new idea bigger than the old idea.
Like AKA positivity, right? Think positive.
Right, but there's a skill set that we're going to get into, which goes beyond just thinking positive. how does one get a concept of perfect health into the patient who already has the concept of disease, which is in the process of manifesting in their body? This is what you this is how it works. The patient, this is the patient. What side was the patient?
You're right.
Okay.
The left. Yeah.
Okay. This is the patient. The patient has a conscious and a subconscious. There's a line between them, which in psychology, some people call it the psychic sensor. It's called the psychic sensor. It's an imaginary line. It's not really there. It's a thing that separates our conscious and subconscious, called the psychic sensor. So if the patient below the psychic sensor in their subconscious has this idea of disease, this concept of disease, which we talked about before, manifesting as disease, but the doctor over here has to be skilled enough to get in the patient's subconscious a health idea, to override the disease idea so that can manifest. Because we said already concepts in the subconscious manifest in the body. We have to get a health idea so that can manifest. Now, but they have the psychic sensor to contend with. They can't just go in the subconscious, so they can only go conscious to conscious. Like Tommy said, they can say, oh, you're going to be okay, you're going to be okay. But unfortunately, that idea just goes conscious to conscious, and it can't penetrate the psychic sensor, so it just disperses into the ether, the nothingness. But if a doctor can get rapport with the patient, there's something called the trap door. In the psychic sensor, it swings open. And then when the doctor talks and says, I'm going to do X, Y, Z, whatever it is, give you this herb, put this acupuncture needle in, give you this adjustment, give you this pill, whatever, and I'm going to do X, Y, Z, and it's going to make you heal. If they have rapport, which I'll get into in a second, the trap door is open. It goes conscious to conscious through the trap door, through the psychic sensor, into the subconscious. And this new perfect health idea can override the disease idea, and the perfect health idea can manifest, and then they apparently become healthy. The question, and there's more to this too, which I'm not even going into, but this is just a part of it. The question is, how can there be rapport between doctor and patient? Because rapport between doctor and patient has to occur for this trap door to swing open. Now, someone might just say like, no, I have a doctor might say, I have a good rapport. Like, this guy likes me, I like him, or, we like each other. I think we have good rapport. It doesn't work like that.
Different type of rapport.
Doesn't work
right?
like that. Because you'd be like, hey, I'm Dr. So-and-so. Welcome to the office. It's all bullshit. It's like,
Yeah.
you could walk into a Mercedes dealership, they tell you that, hey, Tommy, welcome to Mercedes. They're full of shit. They want your money. So the
Very
thing
true.
Is, right.
Yeah.
So the thing is, rapport at a high level is established through what's called fascination or agreement. These are old hypnotic terms, by the way. Hypnosis works a bit like this too, because in hypnosis, it's not that the trap door opens, with a psychic sensor. What happens is the conscious mind is laid bare. It's put aside in a hypnotic state. So once the hypnotist puts them in a hypnotic state, they can talk conscious right into the subconscious, and they can create this new idea. Then they bring them back up to their consciousness, and they have what's in there called a post, meaning after, hypnotic suggestion, meaning they've already been hypnotized. It's in the subconscious, but then they're wide awake again. They have their conscious faculty back, but the new concept's been put in there. That's hypnosis. We'll leave that alone. I just wanted to mention that. But fascination is like this. Let's say, for example, I'm just making this up. Let's say, for example, we'll take what I do when I feel the points in the back of the head. So a patient comes into me, and they know they have high blood pressure. They know they have high blood pressure, but they didn't tell me. It didn't occur to them to tell me, because I fixed
Didn't
their
fucking occur to
right.
say.
Well, I know, because I fixed their friend's digestion. So they're like, oh, Dr. P fixed your digestion.
They're just coming for the digestion.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
They know they have high blood pressure, but it doesn't occur to them to mention that to me. I feel the back of their head, and right away I know they have a circulatory problem, which I can know. So then I say, hey, listen, I know you came for your digestion. We'll take care of that. I just want you to know your circulation shows up quite a bit too. Like, oh, man, I didn't tell him. I didn't write it on my entrance form. He must be psychic or whatever. They're very fascinated. They become fascinated. Fascination creates rapport. The trap door swings right open. This guy knows what he's doing. I'm like, now I'm going to fix you up. You're going to get all better. It goes conscious to conscious, down through the trap door in the subconscious as a bigger idea of healing, and it can supersede the old idea of disease, like I mentioned. And there's also something called agreement, which I won't go too much into, but there's a science to agreement between doctor and patient, and that's also
is some of it. I mean, this is like layman's terms, sir, but is some of it like I guess, typical, like, having an open mind to somebody who's like, man, this guy's just full of shit. So they're just blocking you out. No matter what you just said right now, somebody's like, oh, this guy's full of shit. Or somebody's like, okay, yeah.
Well,
and then you start to like, okay, I could see that. Oh, yeah, I can believe that.
You are correct. But the cool part is there's a way to override even the ones who are closed.
I see how you do it because just like the lady with the high blood pressure, for example, she came to you for digestion. And I see how it works. So when you're able to say, oh, you have high blood pressure too, he or she is like, how the hell did he know that?
Yeah.
Now they got the shock value.
Correct.
And then that's when the door opens, right?
You got it.
And then once that door opens, because you have the shock value, you kind of let the wall down or your guard down, and then you got your 2 minutes to go fix shit.
Exactly. No,
I mean, really.
Well put. And I'll just add to that. Let's say a patient comes into me and says, hey, Dr. Pete, I'm here for so-and-so. We'll just call it digestive problems because we were using that example before.
If I have a digestive problem tomorrow, you're flying back.
You're gonna have the best digestion of your life tomorrow. So with that said, let's say someone says every time they have a meal, they have a stomach ache. So they presumably have 3 meals a day. They have 3 stomach aches a day. They all last for about an hour. It's very annoying. They have 21 stomach aches per week. It sucks. So they say, but Dr. Pete, I got to say, I'm very skeptical. I don't see how chiropractic's going to fix this. I'm super skeptical. I say, good. I like skeptical patients because you know why? Skeptical patients don't care about my explanations or my theories or my whatever. You care about one thing, results. That's all you want. You just want to be able to eat your food and feel perfect, and that's what I do. So just come here, let me do my thing, and in a few weeks when your digestion's perfect, you'll know. So I've already overridden their skepticism because I'm not going to argue philosophy and theories with them. I'm going to say, good, you don't want to hear my theories? Good, I don't want to tell you anyway. Just show up here. Pretty soon your digestion will be perfect. A skeptical patient, their trap door starts swinging open.
So they're easier because once you shock them with something that you found out, you got them.
Yeah.
And I can relate that to a few things that have happened in my life. Like my grandmother was she chased this dog around forever. I mean, this dog fucking drove her nuts. No problems at all. Perfectly fine. Dog dies. 2 weeks later, stage 5 ovarian cancer. Dead in a month. Watched her die on my couch. So when my mom's dog died, the second the dog died, boom, sent her another dog. I actually had my driver drive the dog down because my mom was like, I don't want another dog. I'm not taking care of another one.
You're like, fuck that.
You're like, yes,
and I was like, oh, no. I know how this shit works. They keep you going.
Yeah.
They keep you going. And you see it also with a lot of older married couples. They're 90 years old. They're living fine. One of them passes away. Boom.
And
that's
is that
it.
your subconscious? You don't realize that? I mean, you're not really realizing that?
I think they're holding on. So, I think, my grandma was, holding on and subconsciously was holding on because she had to take care of the dog. Then the dog died, and there was nothing to do, and then, boom, everything hit. You're married for 90 years. You guys are still going to eat. You're going for a walk every night. Now that person isn't there anymore. You guys are holding on for each other. You let go. That's it.
Actually, there's a...
and I think that, in a way, would relate to the way you do things.
I would agree with you. Great analysis, by the way. And no, sincerely, great analysis. And
Thank
also, there's this idea that there's a name for this. I forgot what it is. It's from Japan. It's a Japanese name for this explanation. I forgot what it was exactly, but it's about people who have very, very easy lives, very easy. I mean, they often don't live too long. People who have incredibly stressful lives, may not either. But if you have a little stress, and just something to deal with and push, and it actually can be very healthy for you.
Constant chaos?
Well,
come live with me for a week.
Right. But
I'll give you all the chaos you need for the rest of your life.
But with that said, look at Donald Trump, right? Donald Trump loves fast food. He sleeps 2 hours a night. He says exercise is bad for you. He's actually said he says exercise is bad. So he doesn't exercise.
Doesn't he drink 12 Diet Cokes a day?
Probably.
More energy than
right. So with that said, he's motivated though for his business, his political career. It keeps one healthy. The glandular system, it creates hormones that keep you healthy when you're enthused and motivated. Listen, I'm not saying you shouldn't eat well and exercise well and sleep well and whatever. I mean, maybe he's an exception, but that waking up motivated and enthused is good for your health. And by the way, look at Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett, one of the richest guys probably in the world. He drinks Coca-Cola all day because he has all that Coca-Cola stock. So he drinks Coca-Cola all day. He's 80-something years old. It's full of energy because he's motivated. He loves that Berkshire Hathaway stuff.
Well, look how Obama went in, and look how Obama went out. He looked like he aged 90 years.
Yeah, gray hair.
Trump went in, Trump went out. Doesn't look any different at all. Is that he didn't get one wrinkle.
Yeah.
And he was investigated over Russia for 3 years.
Yeah.
Impeached. Fucking now he got raided with his bullshit. And looks exactly not one. He's probably the only president that didn't age.
I agree.
Yeah,
Bill walked out looking like hell. Obama really looks like hell. Who was before that? Fuck, I forget.
Bush. Other Bush.
He doesn't change. He just looks like
he
hell
looks
all
old.
the
He
time.
looks old.
Yeah, he just always looks old.
Yeah.
And the other one, the older one, looks old. They just all look old.
Yeah.
And Jed doesn't even know what day it is.
That's right.
Or Jeb, whatever his name is.
He was Florida's governor, right? Was he?
Well, it used to be.
He
Jeb,
was.
Jeb was?
Yeah, years ago.
Oh,
Back in the day, yeah.
I don't know how I feel about that one.
Yeah.
So do you think you got so into martial arts because as a kid you had the reading issues, maybe pissed off?
No, because it's funny. Like, no one ever bothered me. No one ever made fun of me. It was kind of in my own head. I did martial arts. I got into martial arts because, listen, I grew up in an extremely rough neighborhood. I mean, Brooklyn was treacherously dangerous. I know you interviewed Michael Dowd. Just ask him. Michael Dowd, when he was in the precinct in Brooklyn.
Yeah, he can stay there.
Okay, fair enough. I don't. I'm just saying, Brooklyn was a treacherous place.
Yeah.
I was just trying to walk to school in one piece. So I wanted to learn to defend myself. That was it. I strictly learned it for self-defense. That was it.
So that's why you did get into martial arts.
Just for self-defense. And then I ended up pursuing it and fighting at a bigger level. That was just later. But I just wanted to learn how to protect myself.
And then what got you so into it that you went as far as you did? Because you have how many? What do you have? All kinds of shit.
Yeah, I think
black belt.
I think
what belt are you?
I'm a black belt in Kyokushin karate and Brazilian jiu-jitsu.
Wow.
I think it's funny when people hear karate, they think like Karate Kid. It's like a game of tag or whatever. No, anyone could just look up Kyokushin karate. You can put it on the screen, look at some fights. I mean, Kyokushin karate. Just put it on YouTube. It is a brutal form of fighting, and I was doing it at the highest level with the best fighters, with the best teacher. And I just got good at it, and I liked it.
You don't even have any scars.
No, I'm okay. I broke a few things, but
you know what you got to do? You got to figure out how to do hair. If you could do hair, I could have people lined up to fucking be there.
First one on the chair would be Rob.
Do you know how to bring people's hair back?
It's funny. I didn't mean that. I mean, we'll make your hair. We'll give you a nice do. No, but I actually have not had the greatest results with that with patients. It's funny. Like, I'm incredibly confident with helping people heal. When people are sick, I don't care what's wrong with them. I am confident that I will put them back together, and the results speak for themselves. But I haven't seen like a lot of people who are just bald come in and grow their hair back. So,
if you were that, I think, you'd be on a billboard.
yeah,
Correct.
Yeah.
About every billboard, probably. Do you think it was crazy that McGregor fought Floyd?
I mean,
from a standpoint of martial arts.
I mean, look,
listen,
if Floyd was, in my opinion, if Floyd was really trying from the first round to KO him, he would have KO'd him whenever he felt like it.
Yeah.
But mixed martial arts, the best boxer in MMA is not at a Floyd Mayweather pro boxing level. But I respect him. I think that's cool. Good for him. I'm happy for both. I like them both. I mean, I would not consider myself a huge fan of either, but I don't dislike either. I respect them both.
You don't like McGregor?
No, I don't dislike him. I'm just, I like
a big fan of him?
I'm not a big fan of anyone in MMA unless they're my patients. Like Nick Diaz is my patient. I'm a big fan of his. BJ Penn, Jake Shields, Gilbert Melendez, Bas Rutten, all my patients, I'm big fans of theirs.
I was just curious because I don't care what McGregor did. I don't care if he became the best boxer that there was. You can't hit Floyd. You can't hit him. Yeah. He's too good. He's too much.
The only one I ever saw, who was that?
Yeah, we said
who hit
him.
Who hit him?
Shane
Mosley.
Mosley.
Yeah. Second round, right? It was like round 2.
Yeah, I think that was the only time he really took a hit.
You know what's interesting? And again, I'm not second guessing Shane Mosley. I mean, I have full respect for him. But remember, it appeared like he not took it easy on him, but like he didn't seem to go in for the kill. Now, he might have been cautious because sometimes when you get too overconfident, you get KO'd. But it didn't seem like he really went after him.
I don't think, just thinking back, to watch, and I don't know. He didn't go for the kill.
He didn't.
I think he was worried about if he went for the kill, what would happen if Floyd could take it.
Yeah.
You know, if he could take a punch, you know, and he went for the kill and left something open, maybe Floyd does, because that was when he was younger and everything else. Maybe he does have a hidden left that you don't know.
Oh yeah, that check hook left. He knocked out the Irish guy.
Yeah. Who did he knock out, Rob?
The Irish guy. Irish? Is it Irish?
Yeah, I think he was Irish. Google that.
Ricky
Rob.
Haddon.
Ricky Haddon. Yeah.
It was a check hook. He was like against the ropes. I think it was a check hook. He came in, bang, left.
Yeah, I wasn't ready for that one. I wasn't ready to see him
What
hit
did you
like
think
that.
about that Usman fight when he got? Did you see it?
Yeah, I saw the KO.
Man,
I mean, listen. I like head kicks. I knocked a lot of people out with head kicks.
that was a good one.
Kyokushin. That was one of my favorite. Yeah, I mean, he was leaning. He was already leaning toward that way. The guy's got a fast left kick to the head. So
and he was losing the whole fight in like 40 seconds.
I saw
left
the
in
end
the
of it.
fight, and boom.
Yeah.
Now, when you're doing martial arts and these guys, which we're going to get into, how? And I asked Bas this and many others. How in the hell do you take a leg kick like that to the head and keep going? And you can still say your ABC.
Well, you don't. If an unblocked head kick will KO you.
Yeah.
Like it's not like, it's not like there's some people who have they can roll with a punch in boxing or get hit or they have a good jaw. If you get kicked in the head full blast, I mean, you're knocked out. I mean, so, or at least KO'd.
What
Not
part,
KO'd,
of,
like
what
TKO'd.
part of the foot and head are you like? What are they using? Like that ankle side ankle?
The best is the shin. The shin. You don't want to listen. If you kick someone in the face with your foot, it's great. But if you can kick someone in the neck or face with your shin, it's just
different. Yeah.
That's where you're shooting for.
And how do you take impacts like that? Like, you're not retarded.
I always kept my hands up. I only got KO'd in my life twice, and they were both flash KOs. I both woke up when I hit the ground. Like I got kicked in the head, and I was out, but I was only out for 1 second. I hit the ground and woke up.
Concussion?
No, well, I didn't check. I don't know. So once was when I was kind of coming up. I was just learning. I was not advanced, but I was kind of tough. This guy from Japan in my school, in my dojo, did that. And then once I fought this very tough guy from Holland, and I lost that fight, and he kicked me in the head. I kind of went down and woke up, and that was it.
But now these other guys, like a lot that you work on, they're taking fucking hits to the head left and right. How do they take that and they're okay? Or do you think later on they're going to have a problem?
I hope
because
not.
UFC and to me, and I don't know if you know UFC way more than any of us sitting in here, but UFC and MMA, totally different ball game from boxing.
Mm-hmm.
And you see what happens to boxers.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't imagine that 5 years from now, 10 years from now, these guys taking these fucking hits. I mean, basically, Bas was saying it would be better just to hit barehanded than with them gloves because of the rub on them. I mean, how can an individual not have brain issues from that later?
Well, here's the thing. There was a guy, I think his name was Jack Sharkey. He was like the heavyweight champ of the world in like 1915 more like 1920. And I remember, he was a professional boxer, he was a heavyweight champ, but he lived until he was like 98. So I guess he was, whatever. There was another guy named, I think his name was Gunboat Smith. He was like the heavyweight champ of the world in like 1897, or maybe I have my years off a little bit. And he lived until he was like 97 or whatever it was. So obviously getting hit a lot and supposedly your brain shaking around, a lot of people have lived long, coherent lives. Jake LaMotta, the Raging Bull.
Yeah.
He lived till he was like 96 or something like that. He was pretty freaking coherent right till the end, and he took a ton of shots. So, but then again, Muhammad Ali didn't work out so well for him. So I don't know. I really don't know. Thomas Hearns, he's almost incoherent now. I think Joe Frazier, before he died, was not the most coherent guy. I don't know why some people seem to not make out as well as others.
It would have to be something genetically, right? Or the way they train,
or some, or a
or
combination
diet.
of both, or a combination of the three.
All of it,
yeah.
right.
But all I can say is, I've had pro hockey players fly to me, NHL superstars fly to me with concussions, and I've helped them a ton. Meaning these guys who went to concussion centers, no one could help them. I did my thing, and they got better.
it's just amazing to me because when I do watch the UFC and the MMA, I just don't know how you guys can take those kind of punches.
Yeah.
And leg kicks and all that shit. I don't.
Leg kicks are
Tough
interesting.
dudes,
Leg kicks are interesting. And Kyokushin, we're the masters of leg kicks along with Thai boxers.
And I have seen guys get hit with a shin in the jaw and take it. How, I don't know.
Probably was like almost a slap, but if it's a good shin to the neck or face,
No way in
it's
hell,
probably
right?
sleeping.
Yeah, so he's sleeping. Yeah, he's out for bed.
Yeah.
So now this Dr. Fleet that kind of set you on this path. Who is he? Like what is
Dr.
what's
Fleet,
his background?
Well, he's one
Where'd
of my,
he grow up?
one of my idols. He was from Blacksburg, Virginia,
From Virginia.
wherever that is. I don't know where.
And then what had he originally gone to school for?
Nothing. He only went to the 4th grade.
He only went to the 4th grade.
So, but back then, to be a chiropractor, you could just because he went to the chiropractic school in 1920s, so you could just sign up and just start going, So Dr. Fleet was a chiropractor. Well, actually, I should back up a little bit. He was in World War I, and when he was in World War I, he got mustard gassed. So 4/5 of his lungs got burnt.
What the hell? What is mustard gas?
It's like destroys.
In World War I, it was listen, all war is terrible, so we can't rank wars. They're all terrible. But World War I was trench warfare. It was a disgusting, horrible war. Terrible, terrible war.
A lot of chemicals and
And
everything.
they'd shoot, I think Germany was using a lot of chemical warfare. And that's why you see the pictures of the British and the U.S. soldiers and the other allies. They had these gas masks. But Dr. Fleet got mustard gas without a mask on. So his lungs got fried. He got burnt. His lungs got burnt. So when he came out of the Army, he also had shrapnel in his skull. So when he came out of the Army, by the way, he was one of the most highly decorated soldiers in the war. Imagine that, the whole U.S. Army, World War I, and one of the most highly decorated war heroes. Comes out of the Army, they examine him. He's got the shrapnel in him. He's got the lungs 4/5 burnt by the mustard gas. They tell me he has 1 year to live. But he lives, becomes a chiropractor. He's in his office one day. He gets very frustrated. Some people are getting better, some people aren't. He's like, fuck this. He quits. He's only in practice for 6 months. He quits. Goes home, is in this terrible depression. It's a crazy story. There's a crazy story coming up. Let's tell you right now, crazy story. He's in this terrible depression, and something happens. He has what's called an illumination. Something hits him. There's a 7-day and 7-night illumination where he has no bodily functions. He doesn't eat, he doesn't sleep, he doesn't go to the bathroom for 7 days and 7 nights. He gets all this information, and when he comes out of the illumination, he says, I've seen the secret behind all healing.
What'd he take? DMT, mushrooms?
Who knows?
Which one?
Who knows? But he was writing all over the walls. They found that he wrote all over the walls in Sanskrit. It's the Indian language. So they said to him, what is this? He goes, I don't know. He was one to the 4th grade. He didn't even know they spoke Sanskrit.
He had to have taken something.
Yeah. So he creates this amazing form of healing called zone therapy. Back in 1993, I started learning zone therapy from 4 of his disciples. I spent a lot of time with them, and I learned what I learned. I combined it with some other metaphysical stuff. We talked about metaphysics, martial art, just different ideas I've had about healing. And I created Zone Technique, which is similar to zone therapy, but different. And then ultimately created Zone School to teach other people.
And what was it about Fleet and, his disciples or whatever that was so impactful to you? That was so...
One word, results.
Results.
Because it's like this.
Because you're doing that bullshit chiropractor shit.
Anyone can make a good speech. Listen, you have anyone in this seat. In this seat, you have someone, I'm making this up. They're I don't know, they're a chiropractor, they're an acupuncturist, they're a homeopath, they're a naturopath, they're an MD, and they're promising you the world. Anyone can say,
Sure.
or gut health or functional medicine or results are results. The thing is, it's like, hey, that person has got a thyroid problem. Who's going to fix them? Dr. Fleet had the best results. He's like a modern day Jesus. I mean, in healing, I'm not talking about a religious figure. In healing, Dr. Fleet got results that no one else got. Period. No one could do what he could do. So if I'm going to model myself after someone, I want to model it after the best guy.
So would you say with Dr. Fleet, it was kind of like what you do? you got the shock value, your wall went down, and then you were able to comprehend all of this stuff that he did.
Not only yes, meaning I'm answering your question, yes.
Yeah.
Everything I told you about the trapdoor, I learned from him.
Yeah. Well, it makes sense because the shock value is what makes sense, because that's when you have that 2 minutes to do.
Once I have the trapdoor open, every subsequent 2-minute visit, I just put in whatever I want in there. And of course, there is a physical exchange, which does reset the brain with the positive pole, negative pole, things I talked about earlier.
Okay. Now, when BJ Penn came to you,
Yep.
right? You know, that's one of your big ones.
Mm-hmm.
From when he came in and he walked in, tell me from A to Z what you did to him and how you corrected him. You pull up tab 5.
Yep.
So what happened was with BJ Penn, I actually was in Hawaii at the time where he lives. And I have a good friend who's good friends with him. And BJ Penn had a very bad neck problem. It was 2004. His neck was killing him. And he was going to chiropractors and acupuncturists and medical doctors. And they said, look, you got to retire. I mean, you know, and you're in pain all the time. And you got to get neck surgery. Nothing's working. So my friend connected us, and I was in Hawaii. And I was actually in a gym in Honolulu. BJ's from a different island, but he was on Oahu where Honolulu was. And I was doing jiu-jitsu, whatever I was doing there. And I remember it like yesterday. It's 2004. I remember it like yesterday. I remember BJ walking toward me, you know, with a couple of his friends. You know, like an entourage with him, you know, walking toward me. And my friend was with me, and we met. And I just took him in the locker room, right in the locker room in that MMA gym. And I explained to him what I'm going to do. I'm going to fix his neck. He was skeptical. Man. He was
So how did you
hesitant.
get him? How did you get his wall
with pure confidence. He looked me. I looked him right in the eye. I said, "I'm going to fix you." Pure confidence. That's fascinating. Someone looks you right in the eye and says it. And then
that was enough to get the wall down?
Yes. And then I started working on his neck, and I was only going to be in Hawaii for 4 more days. So I said, well, BJ, if you live near me or I live near you, you know, I tell you to come in twice a week for a few weeks. I fix you, but we don't have that luxury. So I said, I'm going to work on you twice a day every day for 3 days. So I worked on him twice a day, every day for 3 days, which was 6 visits in 3 days. Fixed his neck totally. His neck's been perfect ever since. That was a neck that was told needed neck surgery, was in pain 24/7, had tried chiropractic, acupuncture, etc. 6 zone technique 2-minute adjustments. His neck was perfect, and it's been perfect ever since. And BJ Penn's had his ups and downs in his career, but you never heard about his neck again. And I've been good friends with him ever since. And hopefully he'll be in this chair one day.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah.
And then I heard he's gonna, just like I'm gonna adjust Rob with his own technique adjustment. I heard he's gonna actually wrestle Rob.
Fuck, dude.
Like, BJ, show us something. It's
Then I'll have to come back for another zone.
it's a
Something
small
else.
space here, but you and Rob just have like a mock, kind of like a grappling.
Then you have to
no strikes.
Then you have to fix a broken neck and
right,
broken
yeah.
back. Yep.
Play BJ Penn. We played a little bit of this last time, but it's important just to go through
Let me just put the volume up. So
Yep.
we gotta put it on. You want me to play the audio?
Play the audio on the right. Where BJ Penn, he's getting Pete, spice this up. So there's a guy interviewing him right on the radio or TV, and then he's talking about what you did.
What happened was, just like Tommy said, this was a point. Actually, it's interesting. So, as I told you, BJ's neck was destroyed. He was going to retire.
Yeah.
So then
It was completely
right.
gone. You remember that, Rob?
Yeah.
So we fixed him up, and then he booked a fight in the UFC. So this guy's interviewing him and saying like, BJ, you've been away for a while, but you have a fight coming up, and he's asking him just random questions about MMA. And then he says, by the way, like, how are you even fighting? Because, like, weren't you retiring? Your neck was, like, destroyed. And then BJ explains.
Yep. All right. Hit play on there.
Your last day,
Oops, sorry.
you were fighting pretty regularly, and then you hurt your neck. And obviously your K1 stint, you could fight, every few months, and there wasn't so much of a hard situation where you had to train it all the time. Now that you're back in the UFC, are you worried that your neck's going to flare up? And can you talk about what that injury, the impact of that injury was on you?
Well, my neck was just a herniated disc in my neck, but besides that, I would just want to, just as long as you don't fight a couple shows in a row, you don't get burned out. That's just a fighter that's burned out because he trained or overtrained or just doesn't want to do it. That's worse than a fighter who doesn't train at all and shows up to fight. No desire, no nothing. So gotta just be real careful about that. But as far as my neck, it's actually good. I was went to this guy, Dr. Peter Goldman, and he really, I was real skeptical about what he was doing to my neck, but he fixed it. So I've actually felt good for the last year and a half.
That's good.
Yeah.
So, I mean, right there you go, right? And he hasn't had any neck problems.
It's funny. I remember that night that he was on that show. My friend's like, BJ's talk, you know, like, so I tuned in, but I tuned in too late because he already said it, but I got the clip of it.
Yeah, you got the clip of it, though.
What's up?
Yeah. Go to the next one. So I cut together this, and then tell me each one of these what you did for them. So here's Clark Racy.
Buffering.
It's Clark Gracie here, just about to start a training session here at my academy in San Diego. And I wanted to say thank you, Dr. Pete, for everything you've done for me and for the jiu-jitsu community. You're an amazing chiropractor. You're doing some magic. And
hey, this is Jake.
Pause that, Rob. Okay, so what'd you do for him?
I don't think I think of all the things that you might show, I think Clark's was the least remarkable, but I think his just low back was in pain. But he had access to other chiropractors. They didn't do shit for him, and I fixed his low back. So I think Clark's was like the easiest. Like his low back just hurt, but we fixed
But still, pain is pain.
Yeah.
So if you
Yeah.
take, if you get rid of somebody's pain that somebody else couldn't, it doesn't matter if it was a minor thing versus others or not. You fixed it,
I
right?
agree. I'm just saying, like, relative to the other ones, it was more just, his low
Yeah,
back
the other
hurt.
ones are fucking
right, his
crazy.
low back hurt.
Yeah. And Jake Shields, who we have coming in.
Dr. Peter Goldman
Thanks
for
to
over 10 years. Been working with him. He's a phenomenal chiropractor and all-around healer. Anytime I'm injured, I'll call Pete right away and go and get adjusted. And
Chose Dr.
Pause it, Rob.
Goldman as
So what'd you do with Shields?
Jake Shields is good because he's the kind of guy, like, like some people will talk about stuff, like, oh, I'm so into this. Like, he's not like that. He's not gonna like advertise it, but he's the kind of guy. I mean, he's a healthy guy, of course, but let's just say he had something, whatever it was, that was beyond neck and back. He would call me and come. Like, he would come and be like, if it was something that's non-neck and back that most people wouldn't think of a chiropractor for, but he knows what I do, he'll come to me and I'll fix him up. So I've helped him with obviously various things with his neck and back. I'm just mentioning that what's cool about Jake Shields, among other things, he's a very cool guy, is he understands the big picture, and pretty much outside of like needing stitches or a cast, he'll come to me.
Wow, that's pretty cool. And who's
She's
Alicia?
just a patient of mine.
And what'd you do with her before we play her?
I don't remember. I forgot.
Okay. Play it. You fixed her, so.
Yeah.
is incredible knowledge and intuitive healing touch.
I'm Tarek Kazim.
This guy is pretty cool. You should actually have him on your show. Tariq Azim, first of all, he's one of my good friends. Tariq Azim is Jake Shields' coach, actually. He's from Afghanistan. He has a very interesting story. He'd be a great person in this chair. His life story is totally fascinating. He is a phenomenal boxer. He was almost going to be a pro football player. He played collegiate football. So when I met Tariq, it's pretty cool. I don't know if he's going to bring in this clip, but what happened was, it's pretty cool. It involves Bas Rutten, actually. It's the Bas Rutten story. So back to 2004-ish. There was a pro fighter named Dina Vandenhoeven, Dutch, with asthma, and she heard that I fixed Bas Rutten's.
Oh shit!
And they're both Dutch. So Dina contacts Bas Rutten. She goes, "Is this for real?" He goes, "Yeah." So Dina flies from Holland to the U.S., stays there for a couple weeks to have me fix her breathing, which I did. But while she's there, she wants to train. So she's training at a professional boxing gym because she's a MMA fighter, and she meets Tariq. Tariq is like on his way to be a pro fighter, and I don't know if he not broke his hand, but he just couldn't make a fist. And he kept going to these doctors. He's like, I need to make a fist. I'm a freaking boxer. But he couldn't make a fist. So he was going to this doctor, and he couldn't make a fist. I think they wanted to do surgery, whatever. So Dina is like, I'm going with this guy. I flew in to see him. Just come. And he's like, whatever. So they come, and I worked on him once, and he made a fist that night. But I don't know if he says it on this one, but there's another one.
He does. Before Rob plays, what'd you do?
I just I opened up the...
all from the back again?
Just felt the back of his head. I adjusted his neck, but in the zone area, not just any chiropractor crack in his neck. I I did the specific thing for the zone in question to reset his brain, reset the brain signal and the nerve signal to his hand. And I remember he was like, I was pissed. I left pissed. I thought, I can't believe I paid for this shit. You spent 1 minute with me. And then that night he made a fist, and we've been friends ever
Would
since.
it be safe to say, just in simple terms, you hit the nerve that is connected to the hand and corrected it?
That would be
just in, like,
chiropractic.
that would be chiropractic.
Which is good. But
Yeah.
no, you're right. But that, again, is like the 2% of what I did. I reset his brain signal.
You reset the brain, the signal shooting from the brain to the hand. Okay, got it. Completely understand. All right,
I've been a patient of Dr. Peter Goldman's for over 12 years now. And
Oh, wow,
our
12
journey
years.
is a really interesting journey where, every time I get treated by this guy, I'd say, hey, no, that's unreal. Went from a hand injury that I was told I could never make a fist again to, after one treatment, I've been making a fist since.
And everything.
Oh, this is a good one.
Yeah.
Okay. So this girl comes to me. Now, she was already my patient. She had been my patient. And she comes to me and tells me that she got married, which I knew she had mentioned she got married. She was a little older. She wanted to have a kid, but she thought at her age she couldn't have a kid. So she goes to the gynecologist, they examine her, and quote, I'm giving you a quote. The gynecologist says, you're not getting pregnant. It'd be a miracle for you to get pregnant. I go, fuck that shit. I said, let me balance your body. You get pregnant. I adjusted her twice. She got pregnant. She got a kid.
Fucking crazy, right? Hit play. That might be the most amazing one of them all.
About 2 years when I first went to see him 2 years ago, I was suffering from migraines, incredible highs and lows from hormones, that so many women, go through. He's helped me create a business that I never thought I would ever do.
Hey, Ralston, just pause there for a sec. I just want to say that video was made. That was just when she was my patient, and she made that video. And then after that, what happened with the kid that I told you?
I think that's the most amazing one you did.
This is actually Clark Gracie's brother.
And what'd you do with him?
I think I helped him with his digestion, his neck, and his back.
Wow.
Dr. Peter Goldman is really good at fixing my neck. If I ever throw it off training hard or maybe sitting at the desk doing a tedious task, he'll always take the pressure off and set it healing really quick.
Hey, everyone.
This guy is the most brutal, ruthless, fucking dangerous motherfucker.
He looks like a badass.
Hell yeah,
he is the guy. This guy, who by the way gave me my jiu-jitsu black belt. This guy is. It's not that he's unknown because people in the know him, but he's the most unknown badass jiu-jitsu guy on this planet because
he looks pretty badass.
And he's a frightening dude, but like
he's frightening to look.
Yeah,
like
but
you can just see he's
kill anybody, man. This guy's scary, but this guy, like, there was a tournament in Hawaii many years ago, and in the tournament were all these, just coincidentally, all these living legends. Like, just he at black belt beat them all and took first place, gold medal, and wiped through the best guys on the planet.
And I'm sorry again. What was his issue?
He
digestive. You said?
No, he was neck, but his neck was
bad,
worse than BJ's. Worse than they told him he's finished. They tell you who know this guy had the worst neck injury, one of the worst neck injuries I've ever helped someone with.
How many treatments did he need? Do you remember roughly?
6.
Wow. And I'm sure they told him he's completely done and needs surgery tomorrow, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Jiu-Jitsu. I'm here at Dr. Pete Goldman's office. A little bit about me and him is long gone. I broke my neck in C5 or C2.
Oh, he broke
Each
his
time
neck?
I have an adjustment, it recharges my body back to full power. And
for me, Dr. Pete is
this guy is the most famous person here. I mean, I not that it matters, or maybe it does. This guy's got like 850,000 followers on Instagram. He's a very famous guy, Higan Machado. I mean, anyone could just Google Higan Machado. You look him up. He's a living legend of jiu-jitsu. And when I met him, his neck was so bad he couldn't even turn it. Like, he couldn't look to the left or right. And he had a big match coming up in Abu Dhabi.
So he had that thing like when you pull your neck and you can't turn it. That's the worst.
And he had a big match coming up, and he came to see me. I fixed his neck, and the rest was history. And he went to Abu Dhabi and competed on the world stage.
How many sessions with him?
4.
Fucking crazy.
doctor. He's one of the best I ever seen. He did things to my body, fixed my body in a way I thought was impossible to be fixed.
Hi, my name is Adam.
This guy, Adam, he's like the king of jiu-jitsu of Chicago. So, like, when it comes to Chicago, jiu-jitsu,
that's good.
He's the guy. And I met this guy. His low back was so destroyed, he couldn't walk. I mean, like, he was being carried around.
Really?
And he flew to see me, and I fixed him right up.
And did he walk out?
Yeah, I fixed this guy out. Like, he's one of my best.
Did he like when he came in? Did he walk in, or was he wheeled in?
It's a good question. I've had people wheeled in before. He walked in, but a month before he came to see me, he couldn't walk. Like, he was being carried places. He healed just enough to walk, like
tiptoe,
like a 90-year-old, like
two-stepping.
Yeah,
he's two-stepping into your office, Dr. P.
And we fixed him right up, and then he was like winning big fights after that.
Here today in LA, just got done with the great workout. Over 10 plus years ago, I had several discs in my low back that were like severely herniated. Did a little more research and came across Dr. Pete's website. I ended up flying out from Chicago to San Francisco, and was one of the best decisions I've made. Dr. Pete's one of the most impactful people that I've met.
Hey guys, Clark Gracie here.
Right there. I mean, that's just a handful off the rip of some famous people that came to you, along with the. Because how many people? 30 people from 30 different countries?
Well, more than 30.
I mean,
people.
not people. 30 different
countries and cities. Because you got to figure Malaysia. We got 17 in Malaysia.
Wow,
that's one of the 30 countries and cities.
Now, when we look at go back to the main screen, because it all starts with the body temp, right? That was the thing that really got to me the first time you come in.
Oh, the thermostat, right?
Yeah. So, I think this is so cool to go through. Even though we went through it last time, just to go through it again and explain it, because it's just really interesting. And if those who are watching and listening, if you just go through each one of these, you'll see it's really totally makes sense. So if you could take it from here, Pete.
So I would say one way to look at it, and we talked a few times about like layman's terms, just making it like anyone can understand, just the most basic terms. We talked about the systems of the city, like the water system and the sanitation system. So just like the city is run with, we'll call it 6 systems or however many they have. There's 6 systems that make up the human body, and every cell in the body is in these 6 systems. So whatever problem anyone could be having, it's due to a disturbance in one or more of those 6 systems. And those 6 systems are, like Tommy alluded to, the glandular system, which is all the glands in the body. The eliminative system, which we talked about at the beginning with Bas. I said about the skin and the lungs.
Mm-hmm.
Eliminative system is sinuses, lungs, kidneys, intestines, bladder, skin. The nervous system, which is the brain, the spinal cord, and the peripheral nerves. The digestive system, which is what digests and assimilates your food. The muscle system, which is obviously the muscles. And the circulatory system, which is everything that moves the fluids through our body. And every cell in the body is somewhere here. I mentioned the brain before. The brain has those 6, I'm mentioning now. The brain's divided up into 6 parts that control those 6 systems. There's points in the back of the head for those who know how to feel them. When you feel the back of the head, you know which brain center needs work, and that's the positive pole. And there's points in the negative pole to be stimulated either through a chiropractic touch or an acupuncture needle, or just gently touching. If one knows where these points are, then you can touch the points in question, reset the brain, the body can heal.
So each one of these on this chart here, it has a point in the back of the brain.
Back of the head, right.
Back of the head that you can touch or push or whatever it may be. And as long as you get that trap door down, it's a home.
Well, you're actually correct, and you're combining 2 things, which I'll put together. So part of it is feeling the back of the head to see what part of the brain needs work, and then stimulating the spinal cord in specific places to get that part of the brain working again. And then, of course, that's the physical aspect, not metaphysical, that's just physical.
Right.
And then, of course, is the metaphysical aspect, which we talked about having the concept of healing. Now, let's just say at this point, someone's like, wait a second, are you saying that's not really that important? Listen, if it was as easy as just every doctor saying, oh, you're going to get better. It's not that easy because not everyone can do this stuff. There's a science to healing, just like there's a science to electricity. There's an outlet over there. You've plugged certain things in. There's electricians who are experts on electricity, so they know how to make these. Well, there's a power to plug into for healing, which I know how to do, and I teach people to do.
Right. So now all these people that you healed and all the things that you've done, what is your conclusion with the dimension thing and everything else? What do you think happens when you die?
Well, I have no idea. No one else
Just
does
what do you
either.
think?
No, I understand. I just wanted to clarify that I'm not saying this is what happens. Yeah. No, I don't know, and neither does anyone else. And if they say they do, they don't.
We'll have to check and see if they're an alien or something.
Right. My best guess is I heard something once that a great spiritual teacher named Nisargadatta, that's his Indian guru, Nisargadatta is his name. He said, when the body's no more, he says life before, when you have a body, it's a dream, it's an illusion, it's a dream. And when you die, the dream continues, like in some other dimension. So that's my best guess, and of course I have no clue.
That's what I think.
Yeah.
And I think the energy has to go somewhere.
Right.
And then they found the alternative DMT. Did you hear about
No.
that? So you know how we have DMT in the brain?
Mm-hmm.
It's no longer like active, but it used to be. They found alternative DMT that's actually in the kidneys, liver, lungs. It's all over the body. It's also in the brain too, right where your dopamine is and serotonin. So when they pulled it to try to test it to, equivalate it and, give some type of reading, like to scale it, it mutated so fast by the millisecond. It's impossible to calculate how much it is because of all the energy. So when they pulled it from a pig and they tried to study it, it was impossible because by the millisecond, it mutated 1 trillion times a millisecond. And that's in the medical journal of, I forget, I read it every night.
New England
Medical Journal of...
New England Journal of Medicine.
Medicine, yeah. So, and in that, 1 trillion mutations per second. That's how much energy alternative DMT has on top of the DMT that you already have. They knew about this a year ago, but it was confirmed maybe 3 months ago in the Medical Journal of Medicine. So with all that energy, this is what I had thought the same thing prior. But after reading that, now you have all that energy that we can't even calculate. There's no other chemical in the body that we can't calculate. We cannot calculate alternative DMT because how can you calculate something a millisecond, Pete? Not a second, a millisecond, 1 trillion mutations a millisecond. How does that happen?
I have no idea.
That's a shit ton of energy, right?
I have no idea, but it's interesting when you mentioned about what they knew a year ago, 2021, and even now, 2022, they're aware of this, but they can't calculate it, like that kind of thing. What that makes me think about is that, for example, X amount of years ago, they thought this, and before that, they thought this, and now they think this, and in 30 years, they'll look back at what they think now and like, oh, remember when they thought that? So it's just interesting how medical science kind of like quantifies things depending on the year. But one thing I do like about certain principles of healing is they're timeless. There are certain timeless healing principles, and if you can tap into the timeless healing principles, you're never at the mercy of what year it is.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it just evolves. And I think a lot of this stuff has been, I think there's so much stuff that doctors like yourself, obviously, and many, many, many others that are massive, like people that do vaccines and shit like that. I think they know a lot of shit that is in the textbooks today that isn't right. They know it's wrong, but they don't want to come out and go against the scientific community.
I wouldn't doubt it.
Because they'll get, black or shadow banned from their own community. I mean, they've said it. Some of the guys that have finally come out that are real doctors and, don't care and said, hey, look, this does not work. That's old news. This is real. Here's the facts. The scientific community hate them. So the real doctors, like you were saying before, that care, they come out and they say, no, that's not.
Remember, I had met this medical doctor years and years ago, and he did vaccines. That's what he did. He vaccinated kids. That was like not his job, but like that's mostly what he did. And I said, do you vaccinate your own kids? He's like, no way. Imagine that. He's vaccinating kids for a living.
But he won't.
But he knows what's in that shit.
Hell
and
no.
He's like, I wouldn't vaccinate my own kids. You kidding me? No way.
You think they're all bad?
Yeah.
Every one of them.
I would say so.
I hate them.
Yeah.
I hate them all.
Yeah.
I'm with you. What do you think, Rob?
I mean, I got vaccines when I was a kid, right? I mean, you got them.
They led to ear infections.
Our kids got 'em. Yeah, I mean, listening on your level, I mean, I guess not. I mean, you think about it, right? But again, just think about it. That's what I'm saying. Everybody goes with what they're taught or what it's been ingrained in your head, and that's what I'm saying. If the masses, I think this generation is changing that concept of my mom with pills A through Z, and it's like that's the problem. You're mixing pill with pill, and this is having this effect to this. If you got off of that, but she's too far in, is what I'm saying. It's foregone conclusion at this point, I think. But
I think also, like, on that note, like there's like anti-vaxxers. They're officially like anti-vaxxers.
Yep.
I'm not an anti-vaxxer. I just have no interest in them. I don't like them, but I'm not like proselytizing. People do whatever they want.
Yeah, no, I think you're absolutely right, and I think you nailed it on that. I think people should do whatever they want. If you want to get a vaccine, go get them. I personally just don't like them.
Because also think of it this way, like, like you have like a shirt, like you have that sweatshirt, so you might choose to wash it, fold it, take good care of it because you want to take good care of it. Or maybe some people don't. They throw it in the corner, they never wash it. But it is their shirt. They can do what they want. So it's their body to do whatever they want. They can do whatever they want with their body.
When did you notice in the doctor field where everything started to get so controlled? Or when you walked in, it was already controlled?
It's probably been controlled since the 1600s.
Really? I didn't know.
I would think.
Yeah.
What's the most amazing to me is like every so many years, right, they'll come out and they'll say like drinking 2 cups of coffee a day is good for you, or eating dark chocolate is good for you, or doing this, and then a couple of years later, like, well, too much coffee, is bad, or you should drink a shot of whiskey because a shot of whiskey works, or wine. Like, what do you think about some of that stuff?
Well, I've said this before, and I'll say it again. Back in the early 1990s, it was bee pollen. Bee pollen. It's going to fix everything. Bee pollen. Take bee pollen for energy, whatever.
Really?
And now you can't even find bee pollen. I don't know where it is.
Did it actually work?
I don't know. I never, I never became an expert on bee pollen. But then in the 90s or whatever, around then, it was super blue-green algae. Blue-green algae is going to do everything. Then you never hear about it anymore. And then kombucha mushrooms drinks. They're like, it's going to cure everything. Now they just drink it because it tastes good. But like you said, Rob, every X amount of years there's this new thing that's going to, and then it's collecting dust in the bottom of the shelves 2 years later. So it's like the fad of the year, whatever it may be. And then it was like, intermittent fasting. You don't hear about intermittent. Listen, I'm not against intermittent fasting. I'm not for it. I don't give a shit. But my point is, remember 2 years ago or 3 years, intermittent fasting, or 5 years ago or 10, whatever it was. Now you never hear about it. And now the carnivore diet, which it could be good, I don't know, but things just go in kind of waves and cycles.
Do you think, though, there is anything out there like, again, this is going by fads. Remember fish oil.
Oh, yeah, fish oil.
All that shit. But do you think there is anything out there, natural supplements, things that people should be taking that are actually beneficial, that isn't just part of this fad culture? Is there anything in your assumption, or not assumption, but your knowledge?
I mean, I think that if someone, first of all, again, results are results.
Yep.
So let's just say someone's like, I do this and I feel good, and keep doing it. You can't argue with results. But with that said, I think if you try to eat decently and move your body and rest and have the right concepts for your body, I think you're in good shape.
And another thing, just because we're on this,
yeah.
Do you think, I think I talked about this a couple podcasts ago. My grandmother years ago used to jar all of her food. So jams, jellies, pickled this, pickled that. I mean, in case a apocalypse happened, she'd be good for a little while. But all natural years ago, right, when they canned their stuff, and now you're buying canned goods, preservatives, all this shit in it, right? The chickens, the cows, all the stuff, it's all intertwined. The chemicals that go to spray the fields that go into the ground, it's all intermixed. Do you think people were healthier years ago than they are today? They say people live longer now, but do you think the people were healthier years ago than they are today?
When things were like less processed, right?
Correct.
Well, it's interesting as you asked that, and I don't know exactly the answer, but as you asked that, you were talking about how like now there's like maybe the tap water has more chemicals now, and there's maybe chemtrails like we alluded to before. If that's true or not, I don't know. And there's more like hormones in the beef and everything. But nonetheless, people seem to be living longer now. So I really don't know.
Yeah.
Are they living longer though?
I don't know. Are they? Well, Rob mentioned.
I thought they are. I thought people.
I don't know. Your parents are 90 and 90. How old are your parents?
93 and
82.
83.
Don't put my dad at 90. I'll kick your ass for that one.
Well, people are croaking. I think the average death for a man now is 72, and a woman is somewhere right under it.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
I think there's more diseases now than there were. Well, maybe not. I don't know.
Well, they make them up.
Yeah.
You know, you get your foot walks sideways one time, you have cancer.
Yeah.
You know, go for fucking radiation tomorrow.
Yeah,
you got stage 2.
Yeah.
You know. What do you see happening in the future with like the whole healing thing? I do think people are getting sick of big pharma a lot, but again, that's probably 10%.
Listen, what I'd like to happen and what I think will happen are two different things. What I'd like to happen is people understand what's possible and that a balanced body can do amazing things to heal. But I don't the stronghold of these fucking jerks who are running shit, I don't see them really losing it. Look at like Fauci and all this fucking nonsense. I mean, like I don't see it changing too quick, but I hope I'm wrong about that.
Mm-hmm.
He laughed when they said that somebody, I forget which one it was. I think it was that Kennedy. He's so funny. You ever hear Kennedy?
Yeah, the new guy. Yeah.
No, he's an older guy.
But I'm saying with the newer Kennedy.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
He's
funny. He's funny as shit. And he was just crushing them about everything. Funny as hell. Just beating their brains in about, all these policies and the big pharma and I mean, he just
think about the illogic. Remember during the COVID,
and the brainwashing. That's what he was saying.
Yeah, and if you flew on an airplane during the height of COVID, I remember this because I was flying quite a bit because for my school I teach live events also. So every month I was flying somewhere, and they tell us when you board the plane, stay 6 feet apart, and then we all sat next to each other, fucking an inch away from each other, and they said when you whatever it's called, disboard the plane, whatever they call it, let everyone kind of go and walk 6 feet and then you get up. I mean, is this retardation? What the fuck is this? Like, so the whole...
It's the dumbest thing in the world.
The amount of nonsense around that, it was endless.
But it's like, isn't the human body, the being of the human body, the body itself, is built to fight off disease, fight off sickness, right? You get sick, but you build up antibodies to fight off sickness. That's the whole point of the human body. And then when you do the stuff that you were told to do, your immune system was so shot because you're antibacterial every 5 seconds, killing every germ and every bacteria, covering your mouth, all this type of stuff, that when you did get hit with even a small little dose of a germ, it was like magnified because you didn't have the antibodies or anything built up to fight.
You basically shut down your own immune system, right?
100%.
Fucking crazy.
Listen,
and you got this Fauci on TV telling you to do it.
Listen, I would comment on that, but quite frankly, you described it perfectly. Yes, I agree.
Doc, I heard him say on TV, I think people might be wearing masks forever.
Well, there are
someone told him to say that before the press conference.
Yeah.
The guy is a robot who doesn't.
I hope they indict him.
And there will be somebody that will. There's people. That's the sad part. You see some people that are. I said if they're still wearing masks now, like the lady I saw running across the bridge in a mask, she'll be wearing that for the. It's done. She's gonna wear that.
I was in a pool. Some lady was swimming with it. I didn't understand how that works. She's swimming. She was like in the swimming pool.
And for people that don't know, what Rob's referring to is a woman with a mask on in 95-degree weather.
Oh no, 105 today.
105 today with high humidity.
Sucking in her own,
up a bridge.
Up a bridge.
Over the water. Back down.
Yeah. I mean, shit.
Yep.
Bring it, breathing in all that CO, like you were saying.
Yeah.
Just unbelievable, and how bad it is. And it's all because of the media. The media and that damn that phone. That fucking phone and media. I hate that phone. Fucking hate it. Just for business. Business and that's it. That phone sucks.
Your iPhone or Android, what do you like better?
Oh, iPhone. Yeah, I can't deal with Android.
iPhone.
Me too.
You have iPhone, right?
iPhone, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's funny because my friends who have Android are very serious about it.
Oh,
they think they're really
I know.
like, because I feel like iPhone users like, I have an iPhone. I like it better. But they have like a chip on their shoulder. They're super, they're very proud of the Android. Have you noticed that?
Yeah.
What's up with that?
I don't know, but it sucks. First off, that you can't send, like, whenever I try to send pictures to an Android, you have to send it like 17 times to get them through.
We had a coach. We have a group. My son plays football, so both play football. But my youngest son coaches team, and we took video of the other team we were scrimmaging. So the coach that took the fucking video took it from an Android. So when he sent it to all of us, you couldn't even. It was all pixelated and fucking weird, and we're like, all of us had iPhones. We're like, do you have an Android? We're like, you fucking loser.
Well, you know what Apple does? I mean, you got Tim Cook in there, who is not an innovator. He's just a businessman.
The new one's coming out soon.
Yeah. Steve Jobs is the fucking innovator, and he's probably rolling around in his grave 30 times right now, being that they fucked up Siri. Siri was his baby. He had, do you know this? Jobs had told his team, I want you to make the best mail ever. I want it to be the best. They came out with that mail, and he ripped them a new asshole. I mean, tore them up for 10 hours straight. If you read the book, I mean, viciously ripped them up. You ruined everything. Because right after that, Gmail came out. And he wanted to have the best email ever, like basically Gmail. And they fucked it all up, and he ripped them to shreds. Like in the book, there's quotes that he was saying, and I mean, not nice.
Yeah, Gmail's great. I just love Gmail. It's awesome.
And they fucked it up, and then they fucked up Siri, and then they fucked up Apple TV, and nothing's changed since he's died. Nothing.
The new phone's coming out this month or so.
Yeah, it looks exactly the same as the one we have now.
Any difference? I gotta get one.
Smaller notch. It's just a little notch like this. There's no mini. It's Pro, Max. And then I think another Pro Max.
I gotta get the new one. When I get it, I'm switching. I have T-Mobile. Fuck T-Mobile. Sucks balls.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, but it's the same shit. Camera will be better. Chip will be better. Update better. But nothing really, that crazy.
But it won't heal you like Doctor.
No, it will not.
Yes.
But but what Apple does is they let Android and Samsung, they let them come out with the stuff that breaks. Like the folding phone that broke 300 times, they had to recall that. And Apple just waits and waits and waits and waits. Like, Facebook has the glasses. They're waiting and waiting. Let them work out all the kinks. And then Apple comes out with, like, the perfect user-friendly, no issues way. Maybe it's, 10 years late, but, they come out with the best product of that there is, other than mail. I still don't understand why they don't work on their mail. It's absolutely horrible.
Gmail's hard to compete with. Who doesn't love Gmail?
Yeah, I mean, you can't. But being that we're all in this Apple ecosystem, if they did come out with a good mail, there's a good shot that a lot of people, a good percentage would switch over and they could sell ads and everything else. Which they're starting to sell ads in the new
heard
iOS.
that, heard that.
Yeah, because I got the developer version, so I have it now on my phone. So they're doing ads and all that other shit, which is good for, podcasters and music and all that other stuff. But again, Tim Cook's a businessman.
Yeah.
But he needs to fucking come out with something cool.
So I got one more question for you, Dr. Pete. So
the more the merrier.
You're, as we can see, a successful person. With that success always comes critics, people who will say this guy's full of shit. What are most your critics or ones? Maybe you don't listen to them. Maybe you just block them out, like you said. Don't listen to the nonsense. But have you ever heard some critics, and what's some of the stuff that they say?
Well, a couple things. I'd say critics fall into two categories. I don't pay too much attention to it, but the first category would be a layperson, someone who's not a doctor or healer of any type, and the second category would be a chiropractor. That's the two categories of critics, and I really don't pay too much attention. A layperson usually is just like, this is unbelievable, how could this be? I'm just like, it's like an infant babbling. I don't even whatever. Most chiropractors, and even them, they've calmed down too. I don't really, I'm not even aware. They probably are, but I'm yeah.
I was just wondering. I know that happens a lot of times.
I don't have much interaction with that.
Because you always hear athletes talk about it, right? And they're successful. They're made it to the NFL, NBA, whichever one they made it to. They're good to make it there. I don't care who you are. If you made it to the level, you're good. And then you hear like the critics, right? And a lot of the times the athletes will say, I don't listen to them. Now I think some of them lie, because I think they do. They hear the noise, and sometimes you can see by the way they play, it affects them.
This is what I would say.
Some don't.
This is what I would say about that is, let's say there was a chiropractor who said, Dr. Pete, I hear what you're saying, but I have my own technique, which I think is better than yours. then it's just results, man. I'm just like, these are the things I do. I know, and I know you can't do that. So come learn from me, and you can do it.
Toe,
yeah,
right?
it's like that. That's easy because if it's almost like if a lay person is just babbling about like, I know, good, I wish you the best. But if a chiropractor is talking shit, it's like, well, can you do X, Y, Z? Can you do anything? You can't. If you want to learn how, come learn.
And I was gonna say, do you take is that how it works? Somebody comes to you and they want to go to your schooling? Is that how it works, or what?
My school, it's called Zone School of Healing.
Yep.
Pull up tab 7, I think, and the Pete can go through all the site. Here you go, Pete.
Okay. You want me to go through?
Yeah, take us through the whole site.
Oh, sure. Okay, so let's start, I guess, with the homepage. If you click on the triangle. So, even better. It says what is Zone School, and this is a pretty good description. Zone School is an online program for chiropractors as well as other doctors and healers of all kinds. The members include chiropractors, naturopaths, acupuncturists, osteopaths, MDs, Reiki practitioners, massage therapists, etc. Zone School teaches the zone technique, which is a spinal cord stimulation technique for brain healing. Also taught are the highest principles of healing, which can be applied to any healing art. The unparalleled healing results speak for themselves. There are also optional live events, most of which are open to Zone School members and non-members alike, and then has a video of me explaining some stuff. So Zone School it's a school. If someone is a chiropractor, someone is a medical doctor, someone's a acupuncturist, Reiki master, someone's a doctor or healer of some type who wants to learn how to do what I do, you can join Zone School, and you get about 50 hours of me teaching online. Some watch 5 minutes a day, some watch 2 hours a day, whatever. And we have an army of like 1,400 members worldwide who are getting...
Congratulations.
Thank you. Who are getting what the world calls miracles and healing. And we also have optional live events. And every month I teach a live event somewhere. And the live events are great, but there's plenty of people who don't come to live events. They just learn it online. And some people want to supplement their online learning with live events. And I think if you click on that live events tab, it's a little, right? Yeah, if you click on that. It shows you go down a little bit. You'll see, I'm teaching in Minneapolis next month, and anyone is a chiropractor, doctor, healer, they just click on that and they register. And then I'm teaching in California in October.
Great.
I'm teaching in Boise, Idaho, also in October.
I'll put all this in the description.
Oh, thank you.
Absolutely.
And then in Nashville, that's just a mastermind, just for my mastermind members. And I'm teaching in Kona, Hawaii in December. And that's as far as the schedule goes because we only put it through 2022. But in 2023, I'm going to teach in the UK and Holland for 2 European ones.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You weren't going to do that
February
before.
So that's interesting because when you're going through it up there, I never knew what Reiki was before. And
what's Reiki?
So I'm not going to explain it from the way I know it. He'll have a better explanation of it.
You probably do as well as me.
So my sister-in-law is into a lot of this type of stuff, and I was very, very skeptical. Like, this is bullshit. She took rocks or something, right? She laid me down on a bed. Very calming music, soothing. And I literally was in I guess it'd be a meditative state. I felt like I fell asleep, but I could feel like I was there. Like, I don't know how to describe this. And my thing is I have what they call restless leg syndrome. Like at night, my feet just go crazy, right?
That's
They just
fucking
go crazy. It's awful. It's terrible. It's awful. So she put me in some sort of state, and afterwards she's telling me how she felt this and again, and this is my sister-in-law, so it's not like I don't call bullshit on her. And that night, nothing. I had no syndrome for a while. I had it. Now it's coming back again slowly. But it was I don't know.
Reiki.
I'm kind of explaining from a.
No, I think that was a great description, actually, with an example, which connected.
Yeah.
Connected to some of the details. Reiki was established by a Japanese gentleman, I believe, and it's basically, I don't do it, but it's energy work where you can kind of sense people's energy and work with their energy to help balance their energy. But again, because I'm teaching principles of healing, if a Reiki master is good at Reiki, I'll make them 100 times better. Like your sister-in-law, because she's in school.
Yeah.
If a chiropractor is doing chiropractic, I'll make them 100 times better healer. If there's a acupuncturist doing acupuncture, I'll make them 100 times better healer.
I'm going to tell her about this.
Yeah. So anyone who is a doctor or healer of any type can join, and however good they are, they'll be way, way better. A lot of chiropractors tell me, they go, Pete, I practiced for 30 years before I met you. Or met me online, or maybe they came to a live event. And now I'm in zone school for a year. And I feel like everything I knew before was kindergarten. I feel like I was in kindergarten. No, I'm not making this. I'm repeating.
No, I know.
Or I have acupuncturists telling me, hey, I was always a good acupuncturist. I helped a lot of people. But now I help people I never could have helped before.
Mm-hmm.
And I handle conditions I never would have even known where to start with. And now I can help them heal. So however good a healer or doctor, however good a healer or doctor, any doctor or healer is, if they join zone school, they'll be infinitely better. That's just a fact. That's proven over 1,000 times.
Look, we played 10 or 7 guys that are pros. You would have had to pay them, I don't even know how much, a couple million
Pay
to
them
say
nothing.
this shit.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is you would have to pay them a couple million to get on here and do that for you. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it's something like that. When you see it, you're like, oh, okay, this shit is real. And then you start digging into it. You start looking, how the brain works and everything else. And I mean, it makes sense. But anybody initially is going to be skeptical. You know what I mean?
Maybe Dr. Pete's an alien. Do we think
Maybe
that?
so.
Are you
Could
an
be.
alien? Are you
Really?
maybe?
I like to keep it. He might be. I don't know. He can heal like nobody else.
We
Could be.
solved it.
Could be.
Are you from the Z Galaxy?
Yes, we solved it.
Not that I know of.
We solved it.
All right. So we did live events, programs.
Let's see. We did.
Or where do you want to go?
We could do learn zone technique.
Sure.
And this just says what the zone technique is. And if you go down a little bit, it just explains the systems, which we looked at a little before. You keep going down a little bit, and then it has some, the negative pole, positive pole. It explains some of that stuff. We can go to a different page. I'll show you some cool stuff. If we go to programs, this is kind of cool. So once someone joins Zone School is 1997. So you pay $19.97, you get 50 hours with me. 8 of those hours is interactive. And if you go down a little bit, we have advanced programs. So we have the first thing, just a little bit about Zone School. And if we go down a little more, it shows we have the Zone School membership. We have Advanced Plus, Elite, and Mastermind. These are different programs and different things you get. So everyone starts with the just basic program, and then if they want to get more and more advanced, we do have quite a few advanced programs. So we can go to a different page.
Very well explained.
Thank you.
Too. Like each program is very, 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 very well done.
I would like to go to Founder, actually, which is me, I guess. And I would like to go down a little bit. Look at some of these quotes. I mean, these are not bad. Gilbert Melendez, the famous fighter, you feel almost euphoric. Denny Prokopos, he was the guy. Oh, well, that I told you about before. Denny Prokopos.
Oh, yeah.
Right. See, so that's that. Dr. Pico, whatever. And then Eddie Bravo, he's a famous dude. We go down a little bit more.
Sergio Silva?
Yeah, he's a great jiu-jitsu guy. It's a video. And then that's my bio. We can go past that.
What's the video out there? Is that you fighting?
Yeah. Well, it's it was recently. It was just doing some demonstrations of some stuff. And then if you go down a little bit more, that's just some.
Wow, look at that. Yeah. Olympians, UFC fighters, NHL players, NFL players, pro cyclists. Yeah. What the hell didn't you do?
No.
Pregnant women, fuck.
And then different things we've been, featured in, and go down a little bit more. And one thing I really like is this thing. Well, that's another BJ Penn video, but I really like this. We could play that if you want. Yeah, play if you want to play BJ Penn.
Yeah,
we like BJ. We like BJ on the show. He'll be sitting in this seat soon enough.
Yeah, play it.
I gotta put the volume up. Hold on.
When they did it, they put it to some corny music. Disregard the corny music, but you can.
Okay.
I didn't tell him to put it on, but when I had the guy put, my video producer, he put this music in the back. I'm like, okay.
It's not too bad.
Not terrible.
Could be worse.
Yeah.
What's up, everybody? This is BJ Penn. You're at sfgoldman.com. Dr. Pete does a lot of martial artists. If you're a martial artist, you've came to the right place. Or if you're just someone who needs to be healed, you've came to the right place. So check it out. Zone healing has done a lot for me. It helped fix my neck and a lot of other problems that I have. I'm still with Dr. Pete today. He's gonna put everything in the right path so the body heals itself. If you're from the Bay Area, even better for you. I gotta fly all the way from Hawaii to get here. Dr. Pete in San Francisco, sfgoldman.com. I suggest you come check him out.
So, but one that I really like, it's funny because it's kind of buried in the site. I always tell the people who make my site, put this on the freaking top. What is this buried in the site for? But I love this one. Remember I said Albert Lim? Mm-hmm. If you wouldn't mind, that's a great one. If you want to push play.
To the right, Rob.
Below.
The Malaysia, right there.
Yeah. Yep. Remember I talked about Malaysia? Listen to this thing.
Yep.
Let's see, Albert, what is the worst injury that you've ever had?
Worst injury. Okay, so the worst injury is the most recent one I had, which is it was like a spinal. I don't know what the word is, like impingement on the spinal cord or whatever, but pretty much I thought it was.
That's
just
the
like
one where
a
every time you move your neck, you
injury.
feel like you're like a pinched nerve.
Because it wasn't anywhere, like it wasn't near my neck, and it wasn't in my lower back. And those are the two areas that, even like when I would go to doctors, they would tell me like, well, that's where we would expect an injury in a combat athlete. It's either in your cervical spine or in the lumbar. So it wasn't there. I thought it was just like a thing in my, like, just like it was, I thought it was muscular. So I tried to massage it out, and suddenly it just got crazy painful. Like
Pause
my
this
whole
real quick,
arm
Rob.
went numb.
So he just thought it was like a pinched nerve initially.
Right. I wasn't sure. He went to some doctors in Malaysia, and he was scared. He was getting scared because they were telling him scary things. This is the guy who was told he'd be in a wheelchair if he kept doing jiu-jitsu.
Right.
And then he flew. I really love this one.
God.
And when it wasn't numb, it was like my everything from my bicep to like my whole hand, all 5 fingers were like, it was tingling, and I had a friend who worked in a hospital, and he was like, well, basically he was like, well, that basically just means that your nerves are being pinched, and like your arm is slowly dying. So I actually I got it kind of fixed. I went to go see Peter Goldman in San Francisco. And I did like a week of sessions with him, and that really helped. So hey, thanks Dr. Goldman. The funny thing was,
okay,
this is the cool part. What he's gonna say now.
Okay, we'll let him finish.
He's so positive. He's like, I went. I brought my MRI, and he was like, he's like, oh yeah, no problem. He's like, well, don't you want to look at? I brought my MRI. I'm like, no, you're cool. Don't worry. I do this all the time. Will I be taken care of? I'm like, do you want to see? Do you want to look at it? And he's like, no, we're good.
That is a good part.
And it really helps so much. I think the thing was kind of like, because like now it still kind of bothers me a little bit. Nowhere near what it did. And I feel like if I was able to just get a couple more weeks with Dr. Goldman, that it might be permanent now. Like I wouldn't even worry about it. But because I had just like a week. I mean, San Francisco is.
Now, would you say that the shock value with him was that you didn't care about the MRI, and he couldn't believe it?
That was probably the worst. Like I got really depressed because
and that's how you got the door
down. I had no idea what I could do. Like I couldn't even like it hurt to do crunches. I couldn't do push-ups. So definitely no pull-ups. And I was like, I don't want to just squat all day. Who
the fuck was the squat all day?
So is Dr. Goldman a chiropractor, or what's his specialty?
Oh yeah. He's a chiropractor. I don't know if there's like a different term I should use, but so
he doesn't know whether to say fucking healer or not, right?
Melendez, and like he's like Hickson Gracie's like he's Hickson Gracie's guy, and like he has a reputation where like he fixes the things that no one else fixes, and I've actually even had like a couple of guys that I train with here in Malaysia, who like they went to go see him and he fixed them.
So funny that all these guys would fly from fucking Malaysia.
My injury, probably wasn't as bad as like my buddy's injury, but like doctors told me and doctors told him that doctors told me that they were like, hey, you know, can I be honest with you? You're lucky you didn't get paralyzed. So that's what that's what I got. And my buddy was like, they told him like, look, if you keep this up, you will end up in a wheelchair. I'm telling you, you have to stop. And he went to go see Dr. Goldman, and Dr. Goldman was like, oh yeah, no problem. We'll fix you up, you know. And like, if you just heard me say that, you'd be like, what the hell kind of Dr. Nick Riviera is this guy? You know, but my buddy, he went to go see him, and that same year, he was competing at Mundials. He went to go train at Art of Jiu-Jitsu with the Mendez brothers, and he was training full time. And he went to Mundials.
Wow, that's crazy. That's really something. Sounds like he's really good.
There you go, Pete.
That's awesome.
That should be at the top.
I keep telling my team, like, what are you doing? What is it buried in?
You got to go in that
best
fucker
thing.
and put that right up top, buddy. Fucking Malaysia. Then his buddy comes in and says he can't. He's not going to
wheelchair?
walk. Forget about it.
No problem.
And then he's all pumped up at the end. He's like, you wouldn't believe this. And you know Malaysia's a little bit different than here. They don't bullshit.
And they can call you here, it looks like. Apply for a discovery call.
Yeah, so that's just basically, just to wrap up the site, if someone's like, hey, it sounds good, I want to join, but I have a couple questions, they just click on the apply for discovery call. One of my crew gets on and chats with them, and then they can join. Or they could just go to the homepage and join and be a member and start learning today.
And eventually you want to expand it to where it's not just for doctors, where you have classes for
I've thought about having it for lay people, just for learning how to be healthy and healthier in general. I've thought about that. I just haven't put it together yet, but I've thought about it.
Yeah, so maybe in time.
Yeah.
It would be a big thing, I think.
I think you're right. And you've mentioned that. I think it would be.
Yeah. Anything, Rob?
No, man. Amazing stuff. Amazing.
I mean, I don't think anybody can deny you now.
ZoneSchoolOfHealing.com. Come join us.
Absolutely. Everything will be in the description. All the dates of your live events, and also, what do? You use Zoom?
Well, when someone joins Zone School, I mentioned the 50 hours, but 8 hours of those 50 hours are weekly Zoom calls. So the first 8 weeks when someone's in Zone School, every Sunday we have a kind of a group call where they can ask me questions. So that's on Zoom. The rest is just they have access. They log in, watch whenever they want. They have lifetime access. And then, of course, we have the live events, which are optional but amazing.
And then the doctors that sign up for your courses, they can contact you directly anytime with questions.
Well, luckily, when they join, we have a section called, once they log in, it's called Getting Started. It kind of like lays out everything. And in the Getting Started section, it mentions the Sunday calls. So they have 8 hours. They have eight 1-hour calls, 8 weeks in a row. They have 8 hours to ask me whatever they want as they're going through the material. Matter of fact, it's not set yet, but I bet you in 2023, one of my live events will be in Fort Lauderdale. So then we can all hang out again.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
And you guys can be like special guests.
Absolutely. I want the VIP.
Definitely.
That's awesome. And then maybe you could tell me what's wrong with my back.
By then, nothing.
Well, Pete, man, thank you so much for coming again. I hope to see you soon and regularly, because you're very interesting, and I mean, you can't deny it. So
I'll be here anytime you want.
Anytime. Thank you very much, Pete. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right.